So, last week, as you all were surrounded by a relatively large group of orcs, with good numbers and good strength, they admitted they probably couldn't match you in combat, though they could create one heck of a black eye if you did end up getting into a fight with them. You ended up moving on with them, as not only did they agree that their leader's son should be set free to go on his own way, but they went the full 9 yards and had a giant wedding party, which led to some entertaining situations. The team ended up getting a number of small skill-based challenges in this moment of downtime, whereupon they earned some new pieces of gear, equipment, and magical situations. You know, all the goodies that you get for being good. Could have been a fight. Very easily could have been a fight. But the team decided to hear them at their words. Which leads us to somewhere in the wee hours of the morning as we left off last week. The team having spoken with a woman who can see the future, or at least she claimed. An old woman by the name of Margaret, who I'm sure has absolutely nothing to do with other campaigns from before.
Oh, definitely not.
Nudge. The whole team giving her the, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? And her giving back the attitude of, that's my purse, I don't know you.
Meanwhile, Jameson's like, huh?
And poor Jameson. His characters, everyone else gets an interesting view of the future. Warnings of a city that you'll either be on top of or within, depending on your own choices. Choices made in front of a great and powerful tree that holds the balance of worlds in its hands. A world where very well could end up being monarch in your own right, as we were told to Van. I almost said Jade. You hear that? And your character's name's Phoenix now, too. Goodness, you think I pay attention. But finally, the most bleak of futures, given to poor Jameson's character, as Devaxian was warned, or Deacon was warned. Your character only has about 1.5 years left before they expire. More and more questions given to the team. But of course, they were quick to say, hey, can't you give us something more valuable? Something that's more for the now and present, and to which you were advised, oh yeah, totally. Be nice to the soldier who needs your help. Whatever that means. But those were the wee hours of the night. Morning would be rolling around now at this point. You would have a small bout of time if you wanted to do any prep as morning comes along. The team taking their time to clean up their various campsites, the orcs themselves giving standard greetings. You see the father extends out an arm, grabs the son's forearm in his own, pulls him in close, gives him a very firm headbutt. You can hear the skulls cracking from where you are, but no injury or damage left behind. As the two of them give one final parting to each other. The orc war chief wishing his son all the best in his endeavors, and still calling him an absolute fool for going to undertake such an endeavor of dangerous style, as he doesn't believe there's much of a future to be had for his kid. But, as he also says to him, it's your future to be had. Which leads to the final steps of the morning. The mayor approaching the team. As Addie is saying her name in the background, she's saying, Addie wants to play. Walking up towards the group of you. The mayor ruffling that large handlebar mustache and looking like he's carrying quite the hangover, essentially. Squints at the team a little bit, and then asks the most important question of all. You've all got any work to do before we make our way?
I don't think I've got anything for like a couple of hours. I think I'm good to go.
Now, everyone is sort of stumbling around, a bit hungover at this point. It was a heck of a party. Orcs bumping into you all and all that sort of good stuff. But they make sure that you're leaving well equipped. And in fact, because of how well the party had done, Karak would note as he walks up to the one of you. You know what? I'm going to say it's going to be Deacon on this one. He just walks up, puts a hand on Deacon's shoulders. He looks a little stumbly. His eyes are bloodshot, and you can still smell the reek of alcohol on his breath.
Hey, buddy. Just giving you the heads up. Apparently some of the troops were pretty impressed by the work you were doing here. And we got a few stragglers who want to come along. Is that okay with all of you all, eh?
Yeah, the more the merrier. We'll need as much help as we can get to get across the valley.
The echo wasn't listening. You can hear the timer going and turning on and off with the timers, and then they're still beeping. But as for those troops who are tagging along, as you say, yeah, sure, the more the merrier, you would see it's the quad themselves. Quintuplets? I say quads. They're not quadriplegic. Oh my god. Slight slip there. The quintuplets are in fact coming along with you. One of the ones who are heavily in charge, and the three brothers as well. Smiles on their face as they come along, wielding axes and bows, ready to crack some skulls. It looks like you've got a little bit more enforcement to help along with. As he nods, confirming that they'll be a great help for helping defend the caravan on its trip.
Right on. It's pretty cool.
Now, you do know this trip into the wastelands, as you look towards the smoke and the fog in the distance, is going to take some time. You'll probably be out there for a good month before you make it to Blackrock, taking across the land with regular camping intervals. Dan, for your crafting, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, you know, if anything's coming up. Though I think you've probably crafted out a fair bit of things now, unless you're looking for actual gear. The team's been well prepped. But there will be long moments of downtime between the events. Not that this is going to take too much longer. We're hoping to wrap it up today's session and get you to the gates of Blackrock.
If Phoenix has a spare day, I would request a rune transfer. But we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
Oh yeah, I think at this point the most of it is I'm going to take some time to copy some spells around.
Little bits of work to be done here and there. But on the plus side, the mayor is able to confirm that he has a path that's going to make it there. He adds, well, we got these old tracks that are said to be products of Blackrock. Some elven and dwarven technology mixed together, a little bit beyond what we were capable of dealing with, but once we find those, we'll be able to follow it, and it will bring us very close to the city. So the path is straightforward, but long. And as you're all packing up and making things good to go, the war chief himself is going to take a walk over towards the team. Takes a moment, claps the hands down on Phoenix's shoulders, gives your character a firm nod, looks towards the rest as well, just because, you know, you were the one who randomly got picked to get the pat, and says, well, if you're all going, don't forget to take that old lady with you. She ain't one of ours.
Maggie's coming?
He gives a confirm as he says,
None of my soldiers are very comfortable around her. She gives them the heebie-jeebies.
I know the feeling. I'm prophesized to die in 1.5 years.
He looks towards you, gives a little bit of a solemn nod as he adds,
Pity the person who tries to take you down. Jeez. Hope it's natural causes or like a random accident, though. You seem pretty tough.
Oh, I have a good idea what's going to cause it. Existential crisis behind his eyes.
The character's poor mechanical heart, ticking maybe a little faster in their chest now. But hey, you might have some answers at Blackrock for that one, as you know. The creator of it might be around somewhere, or have access to some information for you. You never know. But if ever there was a city that might hold the answers, well, that whole city is essentially a MacGuffin, so you know. Is that the right term to use for it? Usually it's just a plot device item that breaks things open. But a whole city being the MacGuffin? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a city can be a MacGuffin.
Or a red herring, depending on which way we go in the long run. But, of course, as you're all excited, Maggie's coming with us as you run to her tent to check in. It is, of course, entirely empty. The orcs.
Classic Maggie.
Inquiries.
Oh, thank God.
Well, that's the other flip as well, is that the orcs don't know where she came from. And if you ask any of the villagers, she isn't one of theirs either. The eternal mystery of where did she come from looms over everyone's heads, except for yours. Pretty sure the team has a pretty good guess that, well, with all the worlds crumbling, that crazy little lady. I can say that because she totally was. If you've read Descent to Avernus, there's no other word I'd use to describe her. It's a perfect fit. She is certifiably insane. She must have found a way out and ended up in this world, one devoid of magic, but still leaving her with her sight.
You got here atop a pile of the bodies of redcaps.
Oh my. She's looking
I only
at...
have. I was
sorry.
just looking at my spells, trying to prepare for the day, and I can no longer cast first level spells. Every time I level up, I lose a level, but I gain. I only will ever have a limited amount of spell slots. So at level 5, you lose your first level spell slots, and then you can have 2 second level and 2 third level spell slots available to you per day. That's not counting the ring that I have. I just thought that was really interesting, so I moved a couple things around.
Bit of an interesting nerf.
It's kind of close to a 5e warlock then, your spell levels always increase.
It seems to, yeah. There's some overlap there.
I didn't know that. That's... Huh.
Yeah, I just was on the archives of that we are playing 2e, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I was just on Archives of Nethys, and I was like, how many spell slots do I have right now? And it's none first level, 2 second, 2 third. I'm like, huh. Look at that. It looks like I'm always gonna have 4 spell slots, and they just increase.
Shuffle
I've
it up as
maxed
it
out
goes.
my spell slots. Yeah.
D&D's
Yeah.
we will make the original spell stronger as you level. Pathfinder's throw them away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. They just hatch you the trash bin. You will need this for your next level. For what? Your level 1 spells. Throw them away.
But remember, I chose lightning bolt instead of fireball. But remember, as long as I'm standing still, I can repeatedly cast it every turn,
Oh, goodness.
over and over again, as long as I don't essentially break my concentration. So that's why my spell slots are limited.
Yep. Which makes for a nice...
I'm slowly figuring it out.
There's a lot of little pieces with that class of yours, not gonna lie.
Yep.
I can keep an eye out.
Deadly combination. I do the floating disc, let you stand on that. As long as I concentrate on that, we can move it around. And you can
For
continue a mobile fortress of fireball.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, thanks to that ring, though, I'll always have 2 first length spells anyway,
At least till you get rid of the ring.
until I get rid of the ring.
I'll keep an ear out for combat episodes and the glass cannon where the Magus is in it.
Yes, please
For-
keep me up to date.
One ring given to the elvens
Hips.
for their fair magical power. Another to the kitsune. Hold on, this is not in the book. All right. Well, as mentioned, you're traveling. Traveling a far distance. As the group gets together on this caravan, you find yourselves extending into the wastes. And you're very happy, I would add, to have your supplies. The team picked up a little bit extra on the way as well, so that you'd be able to survive a little better. Along with stuff picked up from the Orc Warband, they gave you a little bit of what they had. Which is handy because the deeper you travel into the wastes, the denser the fog and smoke becomes. You'd almost think you'd travel straight into Ravenloft by the sheer volume of it that clings to the grounds, but mentioning that to somebody at random in this world might have them stare at you funkily like, what is Ravenloft? But you know, I like my references to Curse of Strahd. It's always a good time. Now, it's a good 4 or 5 days worth on the travel of mostly silence. The ground is unyielding, hard stone for the most part. Most of the grass and most of the vegetation doesn't seem to grow. Trees reach towards the skies with grasping fingers begging for some degree of light or nutrition, but neither breaks through the dense fog. Always low light in these areas. Like any true fog, it clings and it holds, and the scent of death always stays in the air, a melancholy drain. It isn't until you find yourselves approaching what the mayor refers to as the path to Blackrock that you know you're getting closer. 1 week total will have passed by this time. So if you got any of those downtime activities you needed to process over the week, like switching that rune over and doing things like that, by all means. And while you're planning them, I'll set the stage as you find quite literal tracks leading to Blackrock. Ones you would be somewhat familiar with. Certain places may have contained such an advanced level of technology, but to see train tracks on the ground might come as a surprise to Deacon. The other 3 of you, well, good old CN Rail. These tracks, which come to an abrupt end not too far from where I have you stationed on the map, these tracks stretch a good far distance from what your eyes can see. And as you approach them, the initial pathway is an incredibly deep canyon over a very large river. You'll notice most of your vision is completely unhindered on this map. You'll have a full view, more or less, from one side to the other. There's a few buildings on the other side, so you can't really see through those. And I will make my mouse visible. The other thing is, the weather's almost always crap. Rain continues to fall. The first day, Garrick would be quick to say to the party, all this rain is gonna weigh my arrows down. I hope it clears up soon. Can't rain forever. Second day, he's staring out like, I was joking about the rain. This is getting miserable. By the end of the week, he's just holding a cup out every now and again until it fills, brings it in, and sips from it very slowly, muttering something about fresh rainwater. Yay. Most of those who travel with you are a little more quiet, a little more sullen and taken back as they travel, the mayor continually telling you it's going to be all right. There is a way forward. We know how to make this. And upon making it to these tracks, to what would appear to be the end of whatever somebody might have been building, whatever long-forgotten kingdom of Blackrock was creating, you can see these train tracks with a massive, massive bridge spanning an incredible distance, as you can see on the map here. 350 feet long. And the drop down, equally horrendous. Probably a good 750,000, if not more, feet, dropping down to a shallow riverbed. Scaling these cliffs would be a nightmare, our utter's task, though there have been some ladders set up to assist someone if they should end up going down that way, but I doubt anyone wants to fall off of this. There's also no easy way up on the other side. The only path down for working on the underside As you can see, no easy way to climb this side of the cliff, the sheer face of it, creating an impossible task to get across. And as your caravan approaches, they bring the horses to a slow stop, slowing until they end up pausing, pointing towards that great bridge, and asking you all if you wouldn't mind investigating it, making sure it's still stable enough for them to draw the carts across. And this might be a moment where someone's going, shoot, are they going to fit? Are the carts going to be big? Are these tracks going to be wide enough to allow the cart to go? But if you know your history lessons well, you'll know that the width of a car, width of a cart, width of all these things are all based off the width of railroad tracks originally. Or vice versa, railroad track width is based off of cart width, right?
I'm not crossing a bridge again. Not on my own. Not after last time.
Now, I've got you all placed on the top of this map. Your caravan is just off a little ways, essentially. And I'm going to skip a full week forward. At this point, it's also about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, midday. Though the sun would shine overhead, the fog blocks your vision so much that it makes it a bit harder to see, a little darker than it should always be, as I cut the lights down a bit. And as I start on this scene, everyone give me a perception check.
Perception.
Approaching and scanning over with your eyes. Phoenix and Devaxian might just be taking in the view, as it's quite the astonishment of engineering and a marvel of it. The metal, even that makes the rail, still in incredible shape and well kept. Whoever built this really knew what they were doing. Probably dwarven engineering, because, you know, that's like a rule or something. But the woodwork, certainly elvish in design. The way it's been bound together. The sort of tinkering and capacity you'd see from gnomes. Well, none of these things could probably come as a surprise for the team. For most of the team, Jameson being our new player, wouldn't know that Blackrock was originally a haven for all races and all people who came together and worked hard to try to forge a future for all. Unfortunately, the gods didn't like that. They liked combat. They liked strife. But that's another story. One that's already been finished. Now, as you're all scanning, Nestri and Deacon, ironically the two characters who would actually fit this for their backstories as well, examining the structural integrity of the design of the place. Eyes scanning across, you can't help but notice how beautifully well kept this has been. The pillars that you can see dropping down either side continually are still in immaculate condition. They don't seem to carry any cracks or any marks that would show signs of major damage. At least from a glance from a distance. It would look as though you could probably walk across this without too much trouble. Certainly, though, there are certain areas, as you can see along here. Actually, I'm going to use the ruler. Oh, goodness. Certain areas, like along here, where you can see that the parts of the mighty bridge have all but dropped and fallen out. But the core, the metal, seems to be well crafted.
Here, can I turn on TV so while I make food? Yeah.
So if you wanted to do any exploring, any examining of this bridge, the caravan wants to know that it will be structurally sound and that they can safely cross.
Right. Is there railings on the sides of the bridge? Is there like a guardrail, or is it like just completely open?
Barely. Enough coming up to your knees. Strictly to look a little pretty, but where only thing that ever crossed across this would have been a train, it's not really built for the safety of a pedestrian in mind.
Right.
And like I say, at a glance, it looks like it's in great shape. At a glance. How structurally sound are all those planks holding it together?
It's a
much is
huge
done?
bridge. I've been scrolling for like 15 minutes.
Yup. It is a big one.
I mean, once we go for it, we're like committed, so.
Well, if you want, you could tie a rope around me, and I could examine the first 50 or so feet that the rope would allow.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Also, I have Featherfall. Just prepared it, so that was before I knew what was going on. So, I've got you. Anyway.
Right. Okay. Right. I guess I'll tie a rope around myself. I'll hand one end to Deacon. He's the strongest, and then we'll say it takes 5 feet to tie around me, and would that let me move about 45 feet down the bridge?
Basically giving you
From
that
where we're standing.
small step ahead. I mean, obviously you're not going to step on a broken part, but
No.
it's walking on the train tracks.
Yeah, so I guess if Deacon comes to like the spot behind me, I'll move 45 feet down and see if anything happens. And then that would be like the end of the rope.
And if any of you are getting flashbacks to old school movies from the 80s, 90s, you know, like Stand By Me, I don't blame you in the least.
Train!
Couldn't help put that one on there. You all see
I've
the-
never seen that.
It's
Oh,
old
you've never
school.
seen?
No, never seen
Is that
Stand By Me.
one of Will Wheaton's first films?
Oh god, yeah. There's something about that old movie. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, very basic in its plot, but they just did a good job on it. Old school. I haven't watched it in an exceedingly long time, mind you, but you know.
Yeah, it's got to be about 15-ish, 15 to 20 years for me since I saw it.
And by even then, I think 15, 20 years ago, it was still, at that point, an old movie. Yeah, in 1986. Oh.
Yeah.
Ow. Yeah,
That's
20 years ago, it was
four-
old.
That is not 3 years before I was born.
Yeah. I know what I said. Getting old.
You just come face to face with some mortality there, Alan.
Oh, well,
Every day.
I'm old. I'm old too. Like, I'll be 35 this year.
God. Oh.
All of you can bite me.
Sorry, Dan.
Sorry.
He got the 4-0 going on, the poor guy.
Oh. Who's the new
Hey,
baby?
no,
in the
no, no.
group?
I got 2 more years before the 40. I got 2 more years. I'm not 40 yet.
No,
No.
bud. Me and you're in the same boat. We're about the same, and I'm not looking forward to it. Getting old sucks.
Yeah.
Mostly because the body starts failing.
Oh yeah, I got my grey hairs coming in already.
Ha! I have brown. It's my only claim to fame. I have no gray. So that's a nice thing. I look in the mirror and I'm like, sweet. And I see my uncle, one of them went like super bald, and I'm like, please no.
Well, that's how my dad's. I'm like, what colour's my dad's hair? Irrelevant. It's not there.
I'll be honest. If I go bald, I go bald. I'll have to shave my head regularly. That's the only thing that'll take me off. It's like, great. Now I have to shave.
I bought some hair clippers because I used to have long hair. See, needing to get your hair cut more frequently with short hair. I'm like, nah, that's just gotta give. So we're at one point we're going to try an experimental home haircut, see how that goes.
I'm so fluffy, I am overdue. Honestly, though, get a set of clippers, set them to 1 or 2, just buzz it. You're good. Sandy looking at me like, what?
No, you said no to that.
Oh, goodness. Alright, so, as the characters are walking forward and maybe hearing some 80s soft music playing in the background, hopefully the vaccine has no fear of heights. He's pulling out the guitar, playing some Stand By Me, mind you, but... Because even here, the drop becomes very, very large, very, very fast. You know, one false step and that rope slip might be the end of your character.
Yep. So I'll look back and say, well, seems okay so far. So what I think he might do is ask Deacon to drop the rope. He'll pull it in towards himself and tie it off at this point and go a little bit further down the bridge. I don't know when other people want to start coming along, but I don't mind going forward a bit more.
Kind of like the opposite way than when you're climbing those cell towers that you've seen on those YouTube videos, where they put the clip on and they take a few steps, put the clip on, they look down and they make you poop yourself for a second, even if you're not there.
Yeah. That's the safe. I mean, I think it's the only safety net I can think of doing. Or I can stay at this point, and if like people want to throw me something, and probably can't. Don't know if I can throw a rope 45 feet, but like I can stay here and wait for people to come to this spot. It's up to you guys.
I think Deacon will approach the vaccine with a rope so it can go out a bit further.
Well, if you're all that uncomfortable, mage hand, here's a rope.
Oh, goodness.
Alright, cool. So we've got a safety line at the point where the vaccine's at. So we can tie that to someone, and then we can put another one around me, or use the same rope around me, tie Deacon on, and then I'll go like another 40, 45.
Now, as you're traveling and as you're inspecting this old wooden walk bridge, which, for the rails on there, give me a perception check as you are examining. And usually I get to say, oh, we could use your esoteric lore and knowledge to apply for this sort of random stuff, but not today. This one is strictly purely engineering. And as you know, maybe not entirely your character's forte for that sort of stuff. 13 on the perception check works well. I will say, for Deacon and Nestry, your characters would have a bit more advantage on this check, given that you've built yourself for those skills, and you have the ability to run with it. As well, Phoenix might be able to tap into some of their skills as you do crafting in general, that you might be able to apply that onto this. But for Devaxian, I don't think you've got anything that fits into that. This is the thing you're looking at it saying, this is a good bridge, I like this bridge. Unless I'm wrong.
I just went forward as to get things started. But if Deacon or Nestry wants to take lead from this point, now that the bridge hasn't completely collapsed in the first go.
I was just gonna volunteer to go. I'll like hold the rope as I go.
We should be able to like daisy chain ropes at least, and
There
I
we
should
go.
I should
That's a
be
good
able to
picture.
hold some, like I should be able to catch someone. I've got a decent strength score, so yeah.
Now here's the thing. You're going to have to decide who's going to be your inspector then. Who wants to keep rolling a couple more perception checks as you make your way across this bridge?
I'll go. I'll roll the next one.
Now, as mentioned for Nestry, since your character used to do a lot of tinkering and a lot of work, you can use your crafting skill instead to directly examine. I would have said this for Devaxian as well, that he could use crafting for it, but I mean, you got a +0, untrained, nah. So I mean, same applies to other players, mind you. We've got a lot of crafty ones.
Yeah, I'll do that because I have a +10 as opposed to a +8.
Well,
Maybe like a
here's a
plus-
counterpoint.
Yeah.
Can I convince the bridge not to collapse? Because I'm good at that.
I actually like stopped and like waited for you to finish your point, and then you were like, as soon as you said it, I'm like, no, roll.
He's
Yes.
being dumb.
Nestry tapping her foot as she goes, like, yeah, this spot seems good too.
It's not as high as I would have liked to have rolled, but I'll
Essentially-
show back to the people who are a little bit further behind.
Essentially for this, give me 2 more checks if you intend to fully cross this walkway.
Do you want to take one, Jameson, or do you want me to keep? You could do the
Would you
next
like-
one and then.
Would you like me to go?
Yeah,
Because
what's
there
yours?
is- Well, we have 2 options. I can roll it at a +13, or I could take my reliable talent BS and it just automatically be a 19.
Okay. Well, I
Damn.
think ultimately it would be your choice, but I think why don't because I did one check and then you can do another, Dan, and then Jameson can do the last one maybe.
Whichever way you guys want to do it, because like I said, I do have the option to just say I got a 19.
Yes.
That would work great
Yeah.
at level 1 and 2. But the DCs in this game aren't really capped like they are in 5th.
Grab your mail.
I've noticed that. They got some DCs that look, what's the DC to understand the esoteric lore on this CR7? 45. What?
Oh yeah, yeah. They get high pretty quick.
Oh yeah, they go up. I'm just saying it is an option.
19's a good solid number, don't get me wrong. That is a good number. For you, though, that represents 25% failure, though, because that's like 6 or less on the dice roll.
Good number, but you failed. No, it's gonna check. One sec.
So the team needs to decide how they want to do this roll. As you're all examining, you might even see Phoenix at the back giving a nod like, oh yeah, I like how they're applying their knowledge and their skills to the structural integrity of these devices. You can definitely see here the geometrical design was set up in such a way that in order to provide the ultimate balance across the sides, very well built. The rest of the team's like, this seems solid here, keeps walking. I say that because if you can take a 19 for free, it implies
I've heard that triangles are the strongest shape. How many triangles are there here? That's what I'm bringing to the table. That's about as esoteric lore I think as I can get.
I'll eat this one.
So does the team want me to roll, or do you want me to just take 10 and make it a 19?
I'm going to leave this decision to the crafters, the boffins, as I will call them. These are the boffs. Well, what was your modifier +13? You said.
Yeah.
I do have to lean in for a second, though, as a big number geek, and say technically the circle's the strongest shape, depending on application of pressure. The direction of the load will determine if it's a radial, it's going to be triangle, axial, circle. That's why you don't see triangular submarines, and why you don't see circles supporting bridges. It's the 2 forms.
Part of esoteric lore is that sometimes you will get false information.
And that's one of them. But you're spot on for the other, saying the triangle's the strongest, right? It's like, that's why we make all the bridges and stuff triangle. 3 points, equally distributed load, etc., etc. Some geek like, if we were underwater, things would be different. Oh, goodness.
That well, we would be in a tunnel, not a bridge, if we were underwater.
True.
um,
All right, well,
roll or take the 19.
I think the team's put it on your head, Dan. And as much as you want to put that one out there to the team, you're going to have to decide on this one if you want to roll or take that 19 for the remaining rolls. It's your character, your build, your decision.
Slow down, man. Eat first.
See, Dan's a little spoiled. Back in the day, he had Jade. And it was like, well, I can just take a 40 on this without actually rolling.
It, yeah, it's like the when he got reliable talent. It's like I can't roll below a 10. What?
To
Yep.
which I say, I'm adding in these 3 complications, which is going to reduce your dice roll by removing this magical effect that you have and make it still very hard for all this stuff and make the locks as insane as possible in this level 20 dungeon. Because it's a level 20 dungeon. And then basically goes, okay, yeah, that's fair. And he still aced every damn roll.
If you're still in front, I would say roll. Just, you know.
All right,
it'd be
I'll roll one.
more fun for you to roll dice, and then like, 'cause if you get a crit, then
And you know my usual rule of cool. Unless you have to do a dice roll, I'm not going to make you do them for mundane things, like tying a rope on as you make your way across. It'd be an issue if the bridge was spotty or anything like that, but even Phoenix, as he's walking, examining this, taking moments to look over the structure, crouching down like a classic Tiger Woods in his early days. You know what I'm talking about when he's doing those putt shots. Examining over the edge, looking at where the connectors for the rails all latch in. Looking pretty good to Phoenix. Give me another roll. And is it safe to assume you're all more or less traveling as all 4 of you across the bridge, or is he going solo?
I think we would be going across as a team. Like, we'd be doing the thing we did at the start, like go 45 feet, tie someone
okay?
on, like advance, try to keep each other safe. I think you could move our tokens down
Oh, yeah.
as one.
You'd have no trouble making your way forward. Phoenix examining more areas, looking around, kind of surprised at how incredibly well kept and preserved the wood has been in here. Doesn't seem to be too affected by weather or by age. Very worn. It's definitely been treated, though you're not sure what sort of chemicals and styles and design they have used. It's definitely exceptional. It seems almost indestructible. But not quite. You can scrape it yourself and you can see it flaking. So you know. But whoever built this, and however they did it, they knew what they were doing. Still seems pretty good. Very solid. Now I'll need one more check from you as you're making it to the end. And to make things a little easier, I'm going to pull your tokens together. And I'm going to throw you all forward and do a map pull so you all don't have to go across this whole thing. Because at the moment, it's big.
Thank you. I have one more. Just remind me before we get off. I have.
You kind of cut out there, Jillian.
I think she had one more thing to say before we're off topic.
Yeah. Well, just we can finish the checks and everything, but there's one more thing I wanted to try before we get off the bridge.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Just remind me if I forget.
Now's perfect time.
Okay. Well, I was actually like, if we were gonna go back, I was actually gonna check these stairs and platforms and stuff and look underneath the bridge to see if there's any evidence of people like living around the area, like caravans or tents, or any evidence that there might be people kind of waiting to like what's the word I'm looking for, like
Ambush?
yes, thank you, ambush.
Stairs under here provide a wonderful path that you can certainly walk down on, as there's an underbelly underneath that continues on that you could use for examination. By all means, you could definitely go take a look when everyone's making it to the end of the bridge, and it'd just be perception to examine the area.
Sorry, did you tell me to do a perception check? I got distracted because my sister was texting me.
No worries. Yep, give me a perception check. As Nestri, as you're all walking forward, Nestri sees the stairs leading down. She's like, just give me 1 second there. Maybe she takes a rope and starts making her way, tied off on this one spot for safety. The rest of the team, having moved forward, you can see there's a number of buildings here, mind you, built for comfort and lodging. As Nestri walks down these stairs and takes a look at the underbelly, it doesn't look like anyone's ever truly called this place home at all. But you can notice one thing that stands out. The tops of the pillars nearby in the distance, the ones way out here leading up from the water, seem to have a number of scratches and marks leading the whole way down to the water. From a distance, it's hard to tell exactly what would have caused them, but they're numerous and surround both of the pillars. You're not sure beyond that if the others would. You'd have to try to traverse your way across there, and even though it's easy to go on top, well, you can see how many pieces of the underbelly are missing. Like, just look in this zone. There are so many broken parts that it might be perilous to try to walk that far out and see what's going on using the underpath. Top solid, though. That's a plus side. I can say for Phoenix, with those checks as you've made it across, your character is 100% certain this load-bearing walk would have no trouble taking the full weight of the caravan, and then some. After all, this thing could support a train without any trouble by the look of it. No trouble at all.
Medicine.
Can I tell if there's been signs of a train at all, or cart, or anything passing across the tracks?
That's the other, glancing at the metal, looking over. It may have been used at one point, but the slight rust that clings, the lack of dust, and the ground that has settled, at a glance, you would assume trains have not passed through here 50 plus years. The buildings, still in great shape, however, looks like they would make a nice place, essentially to crash. The doors themselves are quite barred, however, so I'm just going to lock those. But glancing at them, this definitely looks like a spot that people would have made good use out of, though now dusty and filled with detritus. They appear to be a fixed moment in time, like taking a look back into the past of what might have been here. Benches for people to sit on and relax, perhaps a place for people to get picked up from, a full station. Also lodgings and support, but given your caravan, that's an extra bit that you don't really have to worry about. The path also splits, one to the right, one to the left, going forward, though one of them quickly teeters off towards the side and terminates. Only one path continuing. Perhaps they were working on expansion at one point that never came to be. And Jillian for Nestri. And you going to try and get a little closer and see what's going on with any of those pillars, or you're not going to risk that? Because, as I like to say, it's a long way down.
I'll go back up to the steps, and I have my own rope, so I'll tie it around my waist and then go back down, and I'll make sure that they know what I'm doing before I do it.
Now keep in mind, you've got to make it out to about here to see what's going on. And that's a bit of a trek. 45 feet's only going to take you about here. And at that point...
I was zoomed way in. Can you indicate again how far I have to go?
You see my red thing?
Yeah, I see that.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's how far I need to go.
Yep, and I just have a 50-foot line here showing your rope length, right? But these are the pillars that you can see the markings on. And, as you can easily tell, the wood underneath here, well, it's missing in a lot of places and falling apart. The rest of it's structurally sound, but that walk did not get nearly the love the rest of this bridge has.
Okay, so how about instead of that, I'll go and talk to the guys and say what I've seen, and then maybe we can all go down together and check it out. Like, Nestor can go underneath the bridge while everybody else stands on the top side, or somebody else who might have better stats for it, and go down to see if I can get a closer look at what the markings are.
Yeah, the vaccine won't mind helping, whether going below with you to find a safe spot and hold a line, or
Or we could do this completely stupid if you want.
I'd love to hear your idea.
I pull out a rock, grant it flight, and go take a look.
You pull out a what? Sorry, a rock?
Yeah, my familiar.
Ah.
oh yeah, it's familiar. That's a rock.
Yep, he has a pet rock.
I mean, if
And
you
I-
want
I-
to, I'd say
Yeah.
go for it.
It follows the familiar rules, so it does get stats. So I can grant it flight, so that's its movement for the day. And then I'm pretty sure I can grant shared senses, or I have shared senses with it.
That's pretty sweet.
The pet rock. So essentially, you'd be rolling a perception check for your character as the rock goes and floats over to check it out, right? If I recall for the abilities and how they work? Or does it have to use its perception check and you just see what happens?
I'm looking that up.
All right. So he's taking a moment as he holds up his pet rock as Nestri comes up and she looks around and explains, might be some sketchy things. We could take some ropes and be careful. And he's holding out the hand saying, hold on. I got the magical rock of doom. This will help.
You want more, or are you all done?
Well,
Best part
You
is
know,
while that
we-
rock's powering up, I could hear the music for a half second from Jilly, and it's like, yes, the rock has background music.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's not even. It was
Ye-
the softest little music, and it almost sounded like you know the Sailor Moon Pretty Girl transformation sequence. I think that's what it's called.
No, I know what you mean. It's not. It was Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper.
See, that's exactly the sort of song for that situation.
No,
Oh God.
my phone was just showing me a compilation it made of pictures in the last 2022.
Well, I would be in favor of the rock plan because me and my characters have a history of using rocks as an exploratory tool.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just think it was worth checking out. We can even do it on the way back.
No,
Yeah.
it sounds worth checking out. Like if there's like maybe something has been climbing up and down this.
Or maybe it's rigged to explode whenever people go across, you know?
Yeah.
Nothing Dan noticed with Phoenix would have indicated rigged explosives on there. With those checks that he had pulled, they do seem structurally sound, but it does take a close examination to see exactly what those marks are. But on a glance, nothing seemed to be triggered for an explosion.
You know, it's a shame none of us are playing a monk because this would be the perfect
Don't
map.
tempt me, Dean. I will play another monk. I wouldn't even
Well-
hesitate.
As this perfect map to have a fight against the ghost train, and if one of us was a monk, you could suplex that train.
But only
Okay.
if the character's name was Saturn.
Okay. So, as a familiar, its perception, acrobatics, and stealth modifiers are equal to my level plus my spellcasting ability modifier.
Ah,
What's my modifier? +7, and I'm level 5. So it has a +12 to perception.
nice. So if you want to give that one a roll.
Take her to bed and then you want to give her a hug?
And while you're giving that a roll, I'm just going to go give my kiddo a quick hug. She's going off to bed. As we are kicking back, Dan, you're probably wondering what Phoenix saw with that lovely perception check that you made. Then I threw up another one of suplex, but with a 30, as your little rock floats down and around, spinning like a single shining point of light. Examining those pillars and coming up to you, it confirms going all the way down on this one and the next set. You can see little dugout potch marks, like claws having torn at the outside of it. Like a cat using it as a scratching post, or maybe trying to climb up on it. And these marks are all around the top, and it appears that they go all the way down to the bottom as well. But like I say, that's 900 foot down. That's quite the distance for your thing if you want to send it there. I'm not even sure how far that thing can go away from you before it cuts out or has any issues. That's a you moment for the viewers, because I'm good, but not that good.
It shouldn't be an issue because the communication for it that I have enabled, as long as it's within 1 mile of me, it can communicate.
So you're 1.5 miles up. that's right there. Hashtag asshole dungeon master. No, 9.
I engage my other ability that extends the range by half. Done.
Oh, goodness. Could you imagine? I say 900 feet. Suddenly I say it's 1.5 miles. It's like, okay, so it's like 8,000 feet in the air. Shit. That'd be quite a marvel of engineering at that point, for given the area you find yourselves in, right? But if anyone was going to have a train, it'd be Blackrock. But certainly, those look like claw marks. Lots and lots of claw marks leading up.
Right, so something is climbing up and down here. Not spiders, because it's claw marks. Big cat. Demon something. With that information, if would we be able to look around this like kind of top area here and see if we find any animal tracks or indications, maybe, or even like looking on the sides of the buildings if they've climbed up that as well?
All right. Well, if you're looking to do some tracking and doing all that sort of stuff, it's gonna fall down to one of those lovely survival-based ability checks. Because that's your tracking and skills.
Yeah, is anyone good at that? And I can just float the idea of tracking, because I have a +0.
I think Deacon might have been. I don't know about Nestry off the top. Nope.
I do have a +8 in survival.
I will float that idea to you. If maybe we should look for animal tracks around this area then. Because what is survival? Is it wisdom based?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm dumb. This is my dumbest character I've ever played.
Oh goodness.
Charming but dumb.
I've made a few dumb characters, it's fine.
I feel like all my characters are dumb. I have yet to make a smart character.
Isn't Nestry intelligent based?
Oh, well, I guess maybe Nestry's the closest. I don't remember how I built Nestry.
It's an arcane caster, which usually uses...
Dean, listen, enough of your attitude.
Oh my.
Oh, I have 3 hero points. I don't think I'm supposed to have 3 hero points. Do I have 1?
I think we got a bunch last session, but it usually resets to 1 at the start of a new session.
Yep. Once the session ends, you lose them all. At the start of a new session, you gain 1. It's a really interesting rule.
I just wanted to make sure that, like, I knew that I started with 1, but I just, sometimes you give us 1, and I just wanted to make sure that I had the appropriate amount.
Yeah, I got a kick out of reading hero points. I'm like, they get 1 at the start of every session. Are they really going to need that every session? And now at this point in Pathfinder, I'm like, yep.
Yeah, it's one of my criticisms of the podcast I listen to is they home ruled like the hero points. They call them bottle caps, and like they don't automatically get one.
Oh,
And I'm like, the game is balanced around the PCs getting a free stabilize with that. That's going to be real rough.
yeah. You get that hero point because you get that hero point. That's how it works. I mean, sometimes you need
Yeah.
to suplex that train. So then, Jameson, did you want to give us that survival check for your character?
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to use my Nanite Surge to give it a +2, just in case shit goes wrong.
All right. Every time you say that, I can just hear a car engine suddenly revving up to a, like, full 7,000 RPM, just whomp, you know? I think it's because of that show, Megas XLR, you know, with the giant fighting robot that has a car for a head.
Yeah!
I just see Coop hitting the gas at that point. Nanite Surge! A nice drop, too, with a 25. As you scan and look through the area, examining out, you don't see much. This area looks as though it hasn't been used in a very long time. Besides, of course, the standard wilderness animals that might come through, tracks from a deer, but even those are exceedingly rare, as there's not much fauna, wildlife, or any of that sort within these wastes. As if the world itself had somewhat gone barren.
Oddly enough, despite the markings on the pillars and such, I can't seem to find traces of any animals besides the rare deer nearby.
Alright. Oh. You think it's a troll? Trolls live under bridges. Do we need to get a goat? Would we get a goat?
It may be because of our past experience with those pirates, but it could also be something mechanical.
True.
And as you're discussing these things, the wind and rain are picking up ever so slightly. The water down below that is but a speck that you can see churns and twists, throwing itself against the rocks of the river as it continues, creating small whirlpools just outside of your field of vision, some 900 feet below.
Should we explore some of these buildings? See if we can find anything?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Sorry, I'm trying. Sorry. I hate autoplay when you're scrolling things. So annoying.
I just heard Jillian say, yes, then in the background I heard, excuse me, and it's like, oh.
So sorry.
Oh, it's not,
It's honestly so obnoxious. I hate it. Especially if you're on data. Like,
oh,
and
God,
you
yeah.
just scrolling through, like, Twitter or something like that, and videos start autoplaying. It's like, no, I don't want any of this. Stop
You can-
eating up my data without my consent.
You can turn it off.
Can I?
Yeah.
Interesting.
One of the first things I do if I get an app is turn all auto things off. Like, nope. She'll get no views from me.
What I'm hating now is I'm scrolling Facebook looking at some random stuff. I'm looking at Marketplace, and then I pull up an ad that someone has, and it points me to a feed. I flick 2 or 3 in, and there's just some lady who shows up saying, you can find this page, and then they give a flash, and I'm like, oh, God, it's porn. What the heck? How is this all over Facebook now? I don't even Facebook. I have no Facebook presence. I don't even browse Facebook, and apparently I'm a prime target for this crap? Wow. Google's like, we know what you're doing in the incognito window. I'm like, yeah, looking up gifts for my wife. Incognito my butt.
Maybe your lack of presence means they don't know how to advertise to you, so they're like, well, we'll just default to porn. Where this guy's a mystery. What's likely to work? Porn.
What's gonna work? Guys like porn. No, just show them video games. Guys like video games. No, trust me, porn. I'm like, if it was Final Fantasy, I would have stopped and watched, and I would have been like, oh, it's a Buster Sword. Oh, yeah. Basic, for God's sakes. You might be on something
Anime
there.
video games. Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, my word. Well, something funky's going on. Something strange might be amiss here. But whatever it is, it is. But the bridge is structurally sound.
I have thieves' tools and thievery at +9.
Oh yeah, the doors are all locked and barred. You gotta definitely pass a check to unlock them. Or you can go the Deacon way. He's got athletics.
I think there's someone else who's trained in thievery. Is it Nestry? I think your score's better than mine.
On thievery? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm good at that. I was waiting for my chance to use it.
All right. Well,
I was turning off autoplay.
if you don't have these tools, you can use mine.
Okay. Well, I would say I probably would have bought some. Well, like we had access to the everything. Why can't I get
Definitely.
back on the bridge? I've tried.
Oh, I know why. It's because of
I
the way
can't
I
get back
limited the
on-
walls.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me a
That's good.
second. You'll notice when you were down there, the bridge is partially blocking your view. I just use fancy walls on both so that they hinder your vision when it's blocking it. But
I'm zoomed out so much. I'm like a mom looking at Facebook on their phone right now.
oh, the eye squints. There we go.
I zoomed in. It's fine. All right, you want me to do thievery on that? Alan, can you? Because I wasn't thinking of it. Would you say that would you allow me to have like a lockpick kit?
Oh yeah. I mean, worst
So I
case,
don't have to steal his.
you jog back to the caravan that's just off screen. Be like, okay, here's some money. Just give me the lockpick kit. And they'd be like, cha-ching, here you go.
They can break, right? So should I get multiple?
Always comes in handy. But you've got the caravan right there if you need more.
You've got mine as a backup as well.
I'll get 2 for safety. So how much would that be? Do you know off the top of your head, Alan? I can probably look it up.
They're 3 gold apiece.
He
They're
beat me to
3
it.
gold apiece. Good lord. Okay, that's
Standard
fine.
use tool. 3 gold with a hands 2 and a bulk of L on those.
Alright, well, let's see how bulky that makes me before I buy a second one.
Now hang on a second here. This is an interesting thing I've read. If you have thieves' tools, you can wear them, and you can draw and replace them as part of the action that uses them. And you can use a set of tools with one hand if you're wearing them, or 2 if you're holding them. Look at now, isn't that interesting? One-handed thieves' tools. I love it. I'm not going to make that come up later in the campaign since they mentioned it. No. Oh, I like that. But by all means.
Can I say that Nestri would prefer the one-handed technique over the two-handed because she's an archer, so she wants to make sure that she has a hand free?
Yep, you got to be wearing tools. You can draw and replace the tools. You can wear up to 2 bulk of tools. Anything beyond that must be stowed or drawn with an interact action to use. But by default, I mean, you don't have any other tools on, so you can definitely have a tool belt with your wearing of your tools and be able to pull that one-handed.
Thieves Toolkit.
Pass the vaccine a bullseye lantern with the other one and just say, here, hold this light. No, hold right here. No, higher. You're...
Okay. So sorry, I'm just making sure that I'm getting everything the way that it should be.
Maybe
And
you should.
I think it automatically had me as wearing it. That's like when the little blue shirt's highlighted, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it automatically equipped it as wearing. Okay, here I go. Thievery?
Yep.
Okay. Jade, give me strength. Yeah, thanks, Jade.
One thing I like that they list here is DCs for lockpicking are always going to be a pain. Otherwise, any rube with the tools could eventually roll a 20 and break through a lock. I got a laugh when I read that. I was like, ooh, locks of good quality, that is. With that 27, as you fumble around the lock a bit, you're a bit frustrated by it as it is a rusted lock, very worn with time and hasn't been used in a while, but you are successful in cracking that lock. And I've unlocked the door. You can feel free to open it if you want to.
I'll open it.
And glancing inside as you do, You can see a ledger on a desk that is very worn out and dusty, a room filled with cobwebs. And I mean, you can click the door. It's got the old clicky open.
I will do that, actually, if you don't mind.
You go right ahead. This is half the
It
fun.
did it.
Though my doors aren't making noise. Oh,
I heard them earlier when you were walking.
I
them.
heard it when I opened it. Maybe it's just because I opened it that I heard it.
weird. Maybe it's just my side. A refresh will probably fix it. I like my door open, close, and locking sounds. But inside this room, there is shelving across the side wall, though most of what's on there has fallen to be detritus and worn by now. A single book lies open on the desk, equally worn, having sat there for any number of years, set open to a few pages, and a single wooden chair behind it. The inkwell, with an old worn feather, has turned but solid, as the ink inside has long since lost whatever moisture provided it with usage. But beyond that, the room does seem solid.
I'll go in.
And it's nice to be out of the rain, the floor creaking under your character's feet. But nothing seems to stand out in this little 10-foot room. Well, 10
Is
by
that
10.
is that journal on the desk just for flavor?
Your character gonna give it an inspection?
Yeah?
Roll me perception check as you're turning to look towards it first, though.
Oh god, okay. Like that.
With an 18 on perception, you just squeak by on that. As your hands start to reach out towards it, you pause for a brief moment and then gently poke at the edge of this ledger with your finger as it starts to crumble beneath it. You can tell to move this book would destroy this book, as this room has remained quite sealed against the elements. But this book is all but a dusty tome in front of you. But the pages that are open on it now, the ones that are on full display, are just that, on full display. Now, if you're going to want to give that a read, though, given how worn they are, well, that's going to be perception, or if you have an argument for some other skill or ability to be made. But essentially, you know, as you said earlier, you feel like the mother looking at the phone to check it out squinting, you know? Same thing.
Sorry, did you say I could read it? Like, I can't touch it, but can I read what's open? What it's open to?
With a perception check. The page is
Okay.
worn. The wording's gone. Or if you have something else that you could try to pull to make this work. Or if anybody has something else that they could try. If you've got a trick up your sleeve, you're thinking, hey, I got the mending cantrip. And I'd be like, this isn't 5th edition.
I will actually, before I do anything, I will report back from inside the room, like, hey, you guys can come in, and I'll tell them what I saw.
Well, this definitely feels like a job for Phoenix and Nestry. Old books.
The only other argument I could think of is society, because it can be used to decipher writing.
Ooh. That's a good one. I would allow it.
Is that? I think that's you, Deacon, that have high societies.
Yeah, I have a +9 to my society. What
Let me
about you, Dan?
Plus 11.
Alright, you got this.
Which is higher than my perception.
Goodness.
Then again, if we really wanted to, I have a rock that has a +12 to perception.
Oh, goodness. Now, keep in mind, different skills have different DCs.
Yep. I'll do a society if someone wants to do something else.
I mean, my best stats are plus 11, so you may as well go for it.
This is for smart people. I have no business here.
Phoenix walks in, gives it a read over, squints his eyes, examines it and says that it's a ledger, your character can tell. Definitely a ledger. Has departure times and pickup times, but you can't really make it out as you're examining it over. But you're certain it doesn't make sense because it says it's from about 400 years ago. Of course, you've also still got that hero point up your sleeve. I always love pointing it out when a player gets a roll that's not that high. It's like you still have that hero point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I like to sit on that just in case because I'm the squishy wizard. But
I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse, but I do have some limited healing capacity now. There's a chance I could save you.
That will pay off.
I took Chalice as an implement, and I took Fleet so I can move like over to people a bit quicker. But it is the vaccine sticking you with a needle full of strange liquidy blood.
alright, let's see if I can do better.
Apparently your character has a phobia of needles.
Oh, that's gutting.
As you reach and lean over the book then, as you critically fail, because you rolled a 1, that drops you down a notch on the fail bracket, right? You accidentally lean a little too far forward as you're trying to read one line, and as you say, "Oh, I see a name here, and your hand goes right through the book. It's now ruined. Whatever information it carried, whatever secrets it held, are now lost, wasted, unfortunately. No, it's not too often actually I get to give out the bad news like that too to the team. Usually you all ace it in the end by pulling some major stuff, but once in the blue, it's very rare to see the dice just give you the middle finger like that. I'm sorry, Dan. That's unfortunate, my friend. But in your examination with your societal knowledge, you end up bringing a finger to rub across one of the bottom lines as you're trying to trace, because like think of accounting. You follow down the column, go across the row, and you push. And the book's ruined. Which was a real kick in the teeth for you for a half second, because the line that you found was the notary's signature for the person who would have signed, giving authorization for the vessel to return to Blackrock. But you don't get to see that name.
Oh well. We're still slightly further ahead than we were.
Yes, can confirm. Now, outside of that, while you're examining these things, why don't you have Phoenix give me a perception check, however? Okay. If we were sitting at an actual table, I'd just reach over, grab someone's dice jail, and slide it to Dan right now. Be like, here you go, my friend.
Ooh. Yeah, was that a 1, 2, and a 3 in the last couple of rolls?
Yep. Just slide him the dice box for the dice jail.
Yep.
All right.
He would get up and move across the table from me, saying it's the curse is spreading.
Dice would be going over my shoulder at this point. I'm going to pull a stretch here and ask, since I'm making the perception check, can my rock?
Nope. This was to see if you'd notice something while you were doing the work. Your rock, unfortunately, is just along for the ride. Quite literally, actually, for the rock. But this was one just for your character, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, so even Nestry, like...
Oh, yeah, no. Nobody else.
Okay. Well, I almost called her Hannah, my monk. Nestry will, like, pat Phoenix on the shoulder and be like, yeah, it's fine, bud. Don't stress about it. Let's go check out another room. And I will not open my character sheet.
Now, there are 2 more buildings.
Yeah.
For once, I'm going to give you the freebie on this one. Assuming somebody walked over to take a look in a glance, this one was mostly storage, and at this point is all but detritus. There are some basic equipment in there that can be used for smithing and such, but there's not many tools to work with. You know, your standard storehouse. Not much special beyond it, but this magnificent set of double doors that still stand against the test of time are firmly locked.
May I try to pick the locks again?
Oh, yeah. The windows as well still look pretty. Still in great shape, even though they're covered in dust and cobwebs, but no cracks. No hooligans going and throwing rocks through them, as is tradition. With a 22, you are unable to crack this lock.
Do I think it's worth trying again?
Well, you didn't critically fail with that 22. Your tools have not broken. You can always try again.
What do you guys think? Do you think I should give it one more shot? Or do you think we should try the brute force route?
One more shot. One more shot.
I could attempt to aid you, but I'd need to crack a 20 with a +9, so if I critically fail, I'll hurt your chances.
It's your call if you want to try. I wouldn't blame you if you rolled poorly.
So you failed with a 22?
Yeah.
Let's see. Make sure I've got aids right. Right, so aid is a reaction, so as you go to do the second check, I can attempt to help.
Okay. So I should roll first and then you can decide if I need help or not?
No, I think I roll, then you apply a circumstance bonus
Okay.
to your thing, so I would roll thievery and hope not to crit fail. Then that affects. If I hit the DC, because it's typically 20, but it can be adjusted.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good.
Ooh, I just got a happy text message. It's a snow day tomorrow for Sandy.
Hey,
All
nice.
HRCE closed so they can continue to clean up snow, which means Addie Boo will be home, so will Sandy. I'll still be working. Friggin' remote work. Well,
I wonder if my daycare will be open. I was just saying to Dean earlier that I wondered. Who was I saying? Was it you, Dean, that I was wondering if it would be open on Monday?
I don't know. You tend not to talk to me about snow days.
I do. I know better.
Because much like Alan, I find them devastating morale-wise.
I will I will say what I love about my daycare is we have this app and it sends out notes and notifications and messages and pictures of my kid throughout the day and what she's doing and all that, what they're planning on doing, developmental milestones, all that. Love it. They also send messages, and they just sent one about 15 minutes ago saying, we're not opening until 10 tomorrow. And then I just got the HRCE notice that everything's closed, so...
They said they'd update us.
They'd also say they'd update his HRCE releases, but if they're... If schools are closed, they're... Yeah, no. No. One nice thing about
Snow day? What's that?
Right? I work
Exactly
from home.
that.
Dan works at Canadian Tire, so they're not letting him go. Same with Jameson. You're in the same boat with Dan. Both of you gotta go.
Yup.
Yeah, especially with new owners in place. We don't know how they respond to things.
Hopefully positive. But let's hope they don't make people go do cart duty too much in that weather. Oh, God.
Oh no, they, as it sits right now, 4 staff have to do that.
Oh, God.
Mike was supposed to, but he complains about things, so.
Years ago, I worked at Walmart as a store standards, like 15 years ago, and cart corral was one thing I did. And we actually had a remote-controlled cart buggy that I plugged into the back of the carts, and it would go for me, and I just have to steer it. That was the best. And then they said it was broken, and I took a look, and I'm like, it's not broken. Nobody knows how to use this thing. It doesn't work, and I pull the remote, and I'm like, this big clunky box remote needs to be recharged overnight, dum-dums. And they were like, no. I was like, yeah, look, click, and it's working! And then I was the hero. I was like, my God. You didn't plug it into charge, and I'm a hero for this. Like...
We didn't have that.
Oh.
It was, here's a ratchet strap.
Oh.
It holds 12 carts. Go.
No thank you. But while that thing was broken for all of 2 days, I showed everyone, push from the front instead of the back, and it's easier. And now they have small carts, so I'm happy I don't have to deal with it, because I don't know how you'd move those damn things. No thank you. I love the small cart myself personally, but from a mechanical standpoint for the workers, I could go on. So, 25 is definitely going to be a pass in order to give a boost to Nestry's check, if Nestry wants to give that roll now.
Now I just wish that Dean's roll was the 20, that, like, we could use his, but I know that's not how aid works.
That...
Okay.
He sits down, squints close, and says, God damn, it's a mastercraft. I can't believe it. These ones here have a standard tumbler system with 7 key pinpoint across. All you have to do is ignore the first 2 when you're going through. And Nestry's like, okay, how do you know about these? And he goes, like I say, it's mastercraft. We have that.
If it's Mastercraft, you just put the pick all the way through and turn. They don't have the blocker plate in the back.
Oh,
They're one of the
yeah.
least secure. Like you would take the back of a spoon if it was straight enough, stick it in there and turn, and it would unlock it.
Oh, God. See someone do it with a piece of fettuccine soon. Just slide the pasta in. It's like, goes all the way and click. Oh, God.
I've been rewatching Mythbusters recently, and one of the episodes that they did was they were testing MacGyver stunts that he's done in episodes.
Spoilers. They don't work.
They don't, but they did do a really cool thing where like the science behind it is sound, but it's just, you know, with Hollywood liberties are taken. Anyway, but one of the things that they did was, like, they basically built like an escape room for Adam and Jamie. Like, the other team, like the build team, did that for them to do. And the first challenge was breaking out of a room using only the things that are in the room. And they were able to pick a lock with a light filament, which I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
They succeeded on that. The escape room was actually really successful. The only thing they didn't manage was they were supposed to make develop photos using bleach and orange juice.
Oh, God.
But they couldn't figure out the combination that they were supposed to do within the hour time limit. So they weren't able to do that. But then the last task was to get to they had to make a compass, which they did out of water, and a magnetized needle. And then they also had to make a signal fire to signal a helicopter coming in. And they didn't end up doing a signal fire, but they did deconstruct the tent that the hideout was built out of, out of PVC pipe and tarp, and built a giant kite and used the giant kite to signal for the helicopter. It's pretty cool. It's a good episode.
My God. I will say, for those Hollywood BS moments, I saw one a while ago that made me smile. There was a whole troop walking through the desert of soldiers, and one guy stops dead in his tracks as he admits, "Oh no, I just stepped on a landmine." Right? And this whole troop are like, "Oh crap," and they go and they feel him. They're like, "Yeah, there's something under there." And he goes, "Yup, I heard it click, I heard the pin set." Then everyone's trying to figure out what they can do, try to figure it out some way, and his sergeant walks over and looks at him and says, "Well, what are we going to do here, son?" And the guy says, "You all get out of here. There's nothing to be done. We can't get a bomb team. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We're trying to get rescued ourselves, blah, blah, blah." The sergeant says to him, it's like, "You throw it all away to protect a whole troop like a true soldier." And the guy's like, "It's been an honor, sir." And he's giving him a salute while the guy's crying, right? And the sergeant nods, grabs him by his shoulders, and throws him to the side. Tells him, "Keep marching, dum-dum. That's not how landmines work." One other guy crouches down and picks up, and it's like some little child's toy that the guy had stepped on. And everyone's like, "Wah, wah, wah." And I hit my knee and I point forward like Leonardo DiCaprio saying, "Yes! Yes!" Because landmines don't arm when you step on them. They blow up when you step on them. No landmine in the history of war has ever armed when you step on it. They go kablooey immediately. None of this Hollywood, "Oh, you're standing on the landmine and it's been triggered" bullshit. Nope. What?
They just go boom.
Yep. It's not efficient to have them not go boom. Like, you want it to blow up the second the enemy touches it? Well, there you go. So yeah, Sandy kind of points out, and unfortunately children, yeah. When places do that, that's just wrong. God.
Yeah.
Plus the ones that are behind.
For ones that are falling behind in areas. But I digress. When I saw that one on TV and they were like, "That's not how those work," I was like, yes! Or when you're reading a book, this is my father-in-law's personal hatred. You're reading a book and they talk about putting a silencer on their revolver, and I'm like, really? That thing's a 6-shooter with the caps out. You can't silence that. You need to have like a pistol, like a Glock, that has everything sealed and in. And even then, it's not going to be quiet. It just makes it quieter. But when they silence a revolver, that's when you know the raider hasn't done their homework. Goodness. Well, I digress. 24 on Nestry, and you get a +2 for Devaccine's assistance. A 26 is a pass. I'll go ahead and unlock those doors.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Then you can-
Jade's really with us today.
Oh, yeah. The dice rolls are a little up and down, to be honest, at certain moments. I'm feeling for Dan right now, because 3 in a row with bad. When you get into a fight, it's going to be good, man. Not going to lie. You're going to whoop some butt. But
Brett City.
you want to feel free to give the doors a clicky, Jillian. They are available for you.
Okay. Do you want to do the other one, Dean?
I shall open it with the traditional sound.
He says, now the sound's working on my computer. What the hell? I heard them that time. Well, walking into this area, you can smell the slight scent of mildew from the floorboards, as they're a little damp with age. The ceiling for this area not quite as good as the others, having allowed the smallest bits of water in, which also means that most of the materials in here are all but worn out, though some basic tools can be found here, mining equipment for the most part. But again, rusted and worn with age. The seats, however, still seem to carry some degree of comfort. They still seem a bit solid, the wood holding up over the years. But for the most part, this area is all but abandoned, which most of the gear all but gone. Even the adjoining room, which does have a hatch leading down into a basement. All the packages and boxes in here, all used for storage at one point, are now little more than ruined. Worn out and destroyed from years of sitting in neglect. There are some letters and envelopes that have been set out and about, which seem to have mostly survived, for a few of them. Some dedicated to a postmaster, other ones set to go to the city of Blackrock, other ones set to be sent to other cities across the world itself. Some whose names have been lost to time in the years since the Great Cataclysm took place. But overall, this seems like it would be a great place to sit and take shelter if you didn't have a caravan traveling with you.
I imagine the envelopes have the same problem as the logbook. Touch them and they'll crumble.
Worn and damaged for the most part. Many of them simply personal styled letters, but if you wanted to try your luck, you could roll a perception check to gander your way through and see if you can find something good.
Do you want to redeem yourself there, Jade? Phoenix, Wade, Dan? Just ran through all my tabaxis.
Well, just be glad I don't follow the other rules, because then you'd really be confused.
Oh, goodness.
No, the Kitsune give a name to every form. So when I'm in Kitsune form, it'd be one name. When I'm in human form, I'm another name. And then when I learn the polymorph spell, every single form I go into has a different name.
Nice.
That's
That's
Yeah.
Kitsune. That's Kitsune tradition. I'm like, no. I'm doing a new class as a wizard, and the new rule set. That's going to be enough. Speaking of wizard and the new set, I would like to cast detect magic.
Nice.
All right. And you're just dropping it at base level?
Yeah.
All right. As you send out a pulse, 30 feet out from your present location, nothing registers, besides, of course, the gear that you're all carrying, but nothing else would register on your senses in this area for magic.
Actually, give me a second. That might auto heighten because cantrip.
Just before I roll a perception for the letters, would you want Phoenix to roll for it?
Go ahead.
Alright, I just wanted to check because you're better placed to do it, but I will try my luck. That seems lucky.
I don't know if it makes a difference, but cantrips are automatically heightened to my level round up. So that was a half my level round up, sorry, which would be 2.5 round up 3. So that was a third level spell for the detect magic.
I think that'll let you learn schools of magic and stuff like that, but it doesn't extend the reach or any. Yeah, none of them do. Nothing standing out. Because you just learned the school of the biggest one, essentially. And I just need 1 second to hit F5 on the page. Dad jokes are definitely my favorite art form. However I can go with them. But yeah, I did toss up horse and wagon at the top, representing the caravan's start point anyway, so we at least have those on the map. As you're given the check around, and Devaxium with a perception check, going through the letters, taking a look, trying to find something, you do indeed find one thing that catches your interest. There's a locked drawer underneath the countertop.
Oh.
Though the letters you find all crumble beneath your fingers as you twiddle through them, especially with the moisture having destroyed them as well. But this is a locked drawer directly in front of your fingers.
Nestri, fancy lock picking some more?
Sure. Do you want to help again, or do you want me to just solo it?
We can try the dream team combo again.
Don't fuck it up! Seriously.
No pressure then.
Nope.
The vaccine's hands start to shake. Right. Come on, aid check.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So doesn't look like a crit fail at least. Which is all I ask for in aid checks.
Now I'm nervous because I haven't rolled bad for the whole session, and I feel like my time's coming. Alan, is that applicable for aid?
Hey, give it a roll. I'll let you know.
Oh, great.
One thing I like with Pathfinder is they give you the hint of don't tell the players
Okay.
until all the dice are on the board, and all the dice are on the board. That's a 30, because you do get a +2. It's successful. The vaccine reaches, grabs, and pulls out, and he goes, if I'm holding it just a little pull, it should make it a little easier to catch the latch.
It's already
Damn,
unlocked.
it does. Yep. With that 30, you're already putting a pin back behind one ear, giving that nod like, it's good, you can open it.
So just check. So it's a +2 and a critical success, and a +1 and a regular success for the aid check. So I didn't crit success that.
That's a 29.
20,
Not
sure.
bad.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
just wanted
I was
to
slapping
double
twos.
check.
You caught me. Thank you. You caught me. I had that one wrong. I was giving 2 for the standard, and I was thinking it'd be a 4 on the crit, but no, it's 1 and 2. I forgot that even though everything has no bound on top, they're really low on the bonuses. So a 29, still definitely a success, though.
I like to be honest with the rules because I'm like, so one day it must pay off due to karma.
But that's successfully unlocked. Who wants to open that up?
You open it, you found it. We'll say to the
Alright.
vaccine.
I'll open it up.
And as you slide that drawer open very slowly, you can't help but notice the most wonderful of things to find inside of there. A lockbox. A large metal box with a slight green tint to it that still seems quite sealed, with 2 clasped locks on either side.
I wouldn't put those lockpicks away straight away.
Sorry, I was on
you're-
mute. I know, I realized. Before we start fucking with locks again,
We could try
Why
and
don't-
find a key.
exactly. I'll go check the other desk. Look around.
Glancing at the other desk, not much stands out on this one. Mostly detritus books of various styles and design line one side of the shelf, but you know, leaning and touching those, they'll just crumble underneath your fingertips, as they are, too are in poor condition. You can always give a perception check over there, though, if you want, as you glance about.
Yeah, I'll do a perception check. I always forget that it's not with the regular skills. God, I don't. It's making me uncomfortable how high I've been rolling. I don't like it.
27, as you glance around. You don't find any keys or anything of the sort like that, but patting around the bottom of the desk, you do find a false bottom and a drawer inside of there as well.
Okay, I'll open it if it's unlocked.
It is indeed unlocked. Opening that drawer as you do, you see a number of envelopes from side to side, stacked neatly and tied off with a purple ribbon.
Do I get the impression that if I touch these envelopes, they'll fall apart? Or have they been protected because they were in a drawer?
They look a bit more sturdy. Sliding the drawer open didn't seem to have any effect on them, but without actually reaching out and giving a touch, you'd never know.
I'll try it. I'll go for the ribbon. I won't go for the envelopes.
Without much trouble, they all move as a pile, because it's, stack of envelopes tied up with the ribbon. But it does seem solid. They don't seem to be falling apart to your touch. They seem in quite good shape.
I'll just be like, guys, I'll start untying the ribbon. Do the envelopes say anything on the outside?
The first one, written in beautiful calligraphy, like you've never seen, exquisite in design. It's a letter, signed from the good people of the free town of Greyhawk to the Lord of Blackrock.
Interesting. I will read it.
The letters themselves have all been opened previously and seem to be stored here. Opening them up and taking a look in, that first letter seems to just be an appeal for help on a mechanical process. But this continues through the correspondence on the letters. You can't help but notice the very next letter. Second one, the second envelope that's listed, is signed and sent back to the good people of Greyhawk from the Lord of Blackrock. Except the handwriting on this one, absolutely atrocious. Looks like chicken scratchers. Whoever's written it, sure, they have calligraphy and can write, but my God, it takes you a few minutes as you're staring at the wordings, just thinking to yourself, whichever poor fool wrote this needs to go back to school. Now, you could take your time looking through and reading these envelopes to try to get a feel of what the communication is between the two and who and what and where and why. But you're more than welcome to do that, but it'll take you a few minutes. Your character will be sitting down going through the letters like, oh, this is some interesting correspondence. I wonder what they're talking about. Talking about some project they're working on together. I wonder who's this.
I mean, I'll keep reading. I'll also distribute the envelopes if anybody else wants to read them. It doesn't all have to be me.
Sure. The vaccine will help.
Deacon will reluctantly help with reading, despite what happened the last time he read something.
Ah, but what about that box?
Oh, the lockbox. Yeah.
Yep. You're like, I found letters. You're setting the lockbox down. Ooh, I would like to read the letter.
I mean, I guess I could try and open the lockbox. Or yeah, I'll try opening the lockbox. I will assume that whoever had the key left or fled this area with it on them and forgot the lockbox.
Well, you put your thumbs against the two side latches and you give a quick push. And true enough, those locks were never locked. You hear 2 clicks as the box opens up under your grasp. That's right, an unlocked lockbox. For that exact reason, left in a safe space in a locked drawer, the person who left it here never felt the need to leave it fully locked. Besides, that first lock wasn't the easiest one to get open.
Nice. Dave find.
As you open it up, you can't help but give a slight smile at the shining inside the box. Rows of neatly stacked coins from one side to the other. And as you drift a finger across them, you might initially think, oh, sweet, a box full of silver pieces. This is, wait a second. Silver doesn't sound like that when your fingernail hits it. Platinum does, though.
Oh.
250 pieces of platinum inside that lockbox.
I don't even know what that is in Pathfinder money. That's a lot. Jeebus.
For your platinum and runs, it's the same as it always works. 10 is 10 is 10 is 10. Just like the others. A copper piece is 1 copper, silver is 10 copper, gold is 100 copper, and platinum is 1,000. So you just got 2,500 gold pieces.
Good lord.
As you
Well-
take these coins out to examine one of them, spinning it in your hand, because of course you would eventually, unless you're not so brave, would you just close it up, or are you taking a look at them?
I think he would have to look. He's got, well, Phoenix, I think we've solved your crafting supplies for a while.
Taking a look at the coin as you pull it out, you would see what appears to be a castle having been stamped engraved on one side with very, very intricate design, and on the other, a heavily embroidered large letter K. Now, those letters that Nestri and Deacon and Phoenix and Devaxian have also been reading through, you can't help but see that they seem to be communication. All of them coming from one person in Blackrock to multiple mages. Many names might stand out in these names. Different ones from different people giving different opinions on how they can improve upon designs, how they can make things work more efficiently, but all as well complaining about how hard it is to work in a world without magic. Many different names come across as you look. You can't help but notice them. Certain names like you'd know from your times, like Big B wrote one letter saying, no, this is impossible, there's no way it'll ever work. Felnorith writing another saying, well, possibly, I mean, it shows sign of power. Even one name stand out in the very end. What really catches your character's interest, though, is all of these letters seem to be dated about 40 years ago. And it's the last one that, of course, I'm going to put in Deacon's hand, that cement an end to the conversation.
And Deacon is going to point that out to the rest of the party.
The last letter, of course, saying, to the Lord of Blackrock, from High Mage, Council of 8, Bucknard. Thank you for your assistance on our android production factory. We have been successful in creating a prototype based off the schematics, though we have not been able to power the unit at all. Please provide updated schematics for the power source or alternate options, as we are unable to activate it. Mordenkainen doubts your design will function in a world where magic has abandoned us, but I am certain this clever design holds greater secrets. Until we can find a better power source, however, I am afraid we have little more to offer. Yours in magic, Bucknard.
Androids. Do you think? Do you think you were made in Black Rock or outside? Is this a homecoming for you?
I have no idea. I was awoken early, so it could have been possible I was assembled there and transported somewhere else with the rest of my group.
It's like seeing emails between IBM and Sony about parts for a computer, and then someone wondering, wait, where was it assembled in the end? Hold on now. But according to this, the good people of Greyhawk were not able to provide any further support in whatever these endeavors were, if they even relate directly to your character or not. Though, it is worth mentioning, again, 40 years ago, these letters are dated.
And the births stopped happening 20 or 30 years? 30?
About 30 years ago, birth rates dropped through the
Interesting.
floor.
Interesting.
It is exceedingly rare to see any sign of children anywhere, except for humans. And even among them, birth rates have dropped through the floor. I mean, someone might be a little crunky at me pulling Gygax characters out like this, but you know what? This is more of a nod to the man. You had some incredible characters and you made a wonderful game system for us to play with. The very least I can do is keep these names alive a little bit in my own little way.
I think some of them are in the SRD now, so they're fair game.
Oh, Big B must be. Mordenkainen as well. Like, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
That's even if they're even in this world. But definitely they're in the SRD, I would imagine. A couple of them anyway. I'll figure that out. We're not even in 5th edition anymore. Well, with more questions raised up, hints of what might be going on behind the scenes, and a pile of gold deposited into your character's bank's account, what's the team doing now? After all, you got a caravan waiting for the A-OK to cross.
I believe there was mention of a hatch.
A little hatch up in the corner that leads to a basement. Oh, yeah, and the door out. I'll open that one up for Deacon. You can definitely open that from the inside.
I just wanted to open it because it's a door and it's there.
I unlocked it. You can give it the clicky poo. There you go. Which leads to the outside, unlocking the door from this side. Just wilderness and overgrown shrubbery, for as much as it can grow in these wasteful times.
Shrubbery?
Shrubbery. I love the word. I use it when I can. Oh, Dan, if you made a joke, I missed it.
Oh no, I just said bring me a shrubbery.
Nee.
Neat.
Or however the second phrase went. Oof.
I'm not even going to try.
I love how the king goes, the knights who formally said knee. One of the most respectful moments. He's like, I can't say that. Well. Who wants to pop the hatch? Oh, sorry, Dan, you go ahead.
Just be careful. That witch might turn you into a newt. But you will get better. I love that movie.
Oh, it's a classic.
Classic.
I have the special collector's edition of it, so I can watch the entire movie with commentary from the Killer Bunny.
Yeah, I've seen those. They look so fun.
That's really funny. I think we had the special edition too when we were kids, but I'm not sure where it ended up. I haven't seen it way too long.
It is such a good time.
I'd like to go to the basement.
So you're gonna have Nestry pop the hatch?
Uh-huh.
All right. And as Nestry opens that hatch up, a hand reaches up from the darkness. Or at least the remnants of one. Skeletal fleshy from water that has all but flooded the basement. As you open it up, you can see there's a few old mummified corpses that have seemed to be swimming, so to speak, in the drink. Held together by the brine of acidic content that's found inside of there, they are now little more than corpses. Now, of course, you can dive in there if you want, but it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. Somebody else can if you want, though.
Do you know how long it would take to get that smell out of my fur? No thanks.
Just
I
get a
could
little
have a
tomato
look.
juice. Are you able to? Like, will you not? Are you able to be in water?
It's like brown sludge. Brine that's almost up to the top, filled with bodies.
Gross.
Ugh, I'm not going down there. That's it's too much, even for me.
Can I try fishing out like a skull or something just so I can figure out like what kind of bodies they are? Like if they're orcs or humans or dwarves or elves?
Reaching in, grabbing one of that mummified head and pulling up, you would find what appears to be a humanoid face on the body, but it's long since worn and torn. It's hard to tell exactly, but they do look human. Maybe elvish, because it's hard to tell because of the ears, but generic humans. You don't see anybody that seems to stand out too different from that in style.
Interesting. It's so bizarre that there's just a bunch of corpses in a flooded basement.
Is there any sign of like a fresh body down there to indicate something had killed here recently?
Give me a perception check.
Will do.
With a 17, as Deacon scans his eyes about, nothing seems to stand out to you. Various corpses bobbing in the water, of various style and design.
I feel like I might hero point that, because it seems like there is something down there that I missed, and I'm just going to give this another shot if that's okay.
Alright, you go ahead and give that a shot.
Oh.
Okay,
You-
wasted hero point. All right.
The hero
They-
points aren't
they-
kind today.
Yeah, they've turned. I have a question for you engineering types. One, would a basement typically be waterproof to this degree? And two, there's no, as far as I've seen, there's no water source here, so how did this get like this?
Very carefully.
I think they did like a bucket at a time.
I'll give some engineering information out for the team as the gimme info. One plausible explanation, if this is an underground basement dug into the stone, it is possible that after years of neglect, there could have been a spring that came through that leaked in through the side walls, and without anyone to take care of it or patch that back up, eventually this would happen, it would fill up. An entirely plausible explanation.
Would it? Does the sludge, the brine, does it just smell like brackish water? Like there's no, like,
It
Like-
smells of fresh decomposition. It's nasty, not the most fun thing to have your head over. If you are of a weak constitution, you might need to eat breakfast again later today.
would I be able to do some kind of try my esoteric lore check on like creatures that would flood or drown bodies? Like like a creature that would nest or feed in this way? Is
BRB
it got-
right quick.
Yep.
The claw marks outside and then this. I'm wondering if it's like if they're connected somehow.
Well, if you're getting in right close to take a look and all that, and you're thinking your esoteric lore to really take a good look, I'll have to say no to the esoteric lore, but I can say yes if you want to roll a perception check.
Sure. Nope.
God, the dice today.
Are we just like looking into the hatch? Like, are you saying this out loud? Because I could try rolling
The-
one as well.
The vaccine often talks out loud.
Okay.
Or thinks out loud.
Would that be alright, Alan?
Oh yeah, you can
I-
take a look through as well. As you glance about saying, what are we looking for? What's standing out different here?
I plug my nose. Oh, it's like pulling hair out of the drain in the bathtub.
Yep. Nasty soup. Definitely some form of a leak has filled this up, and those corpses that are inside of there has created this horrible sewage underneath. However, with a 24 on your perception check, that is not what's going to catch your character's eyes. It's as you're leaning back for a moment thinking, I don't know what would have caused this. And as you look at the hatch that's flipped up, the most obvious thing that goes unseen is often the hardest to notice. Like the scratch marks that absolutely cover the bottom of that hatch. Looks like something was trying quite desperately to get out.
Oh god, that's horrible. I'll explain what I saw. Seems like maybe they were thrown in here to die.
Trapped at least, yeah. Oh.
Who rolls for survival as you examine those scratch marks?
I'm back.
That means
Speak
you.
of the devil.
Yeah, I think it's your turn.
Okay, survival, right?
A slight bit
Yep.
of melancholy was found, as after a good high perception check, it was revealed the underside of that hatch that was flipped open. The thing that I said was so obvious that you have to do good on perception to see it, you know, the spot people aren't looking, is covered in scratch marks. And your character with a survival check, ...
Before I do this, how long has it been since I used my nanite surge?
Is it a 10-minute or is it longer for that?
It's an hour.
Oh, it hasn't been an hour, sorry.
Okay.
Been close. Next time you go to use it, I'll let it pass, because it'll be about an hour by that point, I'll say. But for this one, Deacon runs fingers over the claw marks like, oh, that's horrible. So
Yeah,
he's-
I guess he's got no hero points left to reroll.
and the dice are just in a mood today.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think there's anything I can do to aid that. No.
definitely claw marks of someone trying to claw their way out from the basement, which paints a rather rough picture, one would say.
Well, that's still informative. Just I'll pass along. Like, yeah, these claw marks were from someone trying to get out of the basement.
There's no indication of like a natural disaster or an attack here. So that leans towards what I think what Nestri was saying, that someone put these people here. Or they were hiding from something and then it noticed an easy kill. You were muted, Jillian.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nestri's gonna go out the back door and just kind of look. Is the basement complete? Have any windows or Like, is the foundation covered too?
No other noticeable entries. It seems the basement dug straight down into the stone below and quite sealed in, with that hatch being the only way in. How big that is, how big that basement might be, anyone's guess. With all that dark water in there, it's exceedingly hard to see, and I doubt anyone wants to go swimming in a, fetid pool of corpses.
No.
Yeah. Ugh.
Is that pronounced fetid or is it fetid?
I usually say fetid, but it's one of those. It's a word that I've read, but never heard anyone say it out loud.
Now, I'm looking up the,
I only know that word because of fucking Elden Ring.
I'm fetid, I believe, would be how it's done. Because I look it up on Google, it says FET-ID, and the pronunciation is FEDID. Fetid? Because fetid is what they list there, but that's fetid, I think is what they're
Fetid.
doing. Fetid, I use the pronunciation for. Well, I had that one wrong. Fetid, if this thing's spot on.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. I was just genuinely
no worries.
curious.
Jeez, I grew up in Royal Cape Breton. There's a bunch of words I pronounce awkwardly. Should see how I used to say H instead of H.
Listen, don't
H.
Don't-
That's pretty Scottish.
H.
H.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah, I
H.
think we got it from you people.
if you listen to like a Scottish person going through the alphabet, it's a good chance they'll say H. H-I-J-K.
Oh,
I can't get
goodness.
over Jai. Jai kills me. I hate it so much.
That one didn't carry. We go J. Nice and firm. Well, besides a pile of dead bodies in the water, nothing else seems to stand out here. And you got some moolah. You do still
Certainly-
have a caravan waiting to pass.
Yep. I think we've probably found enough here that we can certainly say we should be on guard, keeping an eye out for something. Oh,
Yeah, we'll have to, because this paints a very disturbing scene.
yeah. But yeah, I guess we can make our way back to the caravan and say, structurally sturdy, but there's something a bit fucky going on, so let's be careful.
So unless anyone has anything else ado to do, I'm gonna pop your tokens back to the caravan if that works.
Mm-hmm.
You're all gonna be blind for a second because it's easier to copy paste. And I'll do a quick token pull. And as you walk back, the caravan has all but lined up here. A few people have set out, they've got some camping going on, making a little bit of food and stew. In fact, as you're walking up there, as Phoenix is approaching the group, this old lady, and she's orc too, so go figure. You don't know how she got to be in her 30s, but she made it. Sorry, I can't help it. I always say orcs have such a short lifespan because they go killing so much, but she's probably like 75. She'd walk up as she looks Phoenix dead in the eyes and gives a slow nod. Here you go, dearie. You should keep yourself fed. You're all skin and bones and fur. Assuming you're in that form, but they wouldn't even blink an eye if you were. She'd hold out towards your character a full bowl of warm stew.
I take it. It'd be rude not to.
On the plus side, it smells good. Tastes nice. Good and refreshing, Of course, she offers one to everybody in the group. She's got the whole pot there with her. 2 more orcs following side by side as well, and they've got some utensils and all that saying, here, eat up, make sure to take your fill. We need to keep you lot real tough. You're the strong ones here. You're the muscle. We're the work. Ho. You're shooting at a sign of suspicion. These people look at you with the bright eyes of orcs who've seen superior warriors. Best you could ask for. But it's the mayor.
So what?
Oh, sorry.
And they're the pals.
Oh, you broke up on me, Dan. I missed that.
Yeah, I have programs running, and if I click them, because I did administrator access to Discord, it cuts it out.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, no, I said, so we're the players, and they're the pals.
Hey. Indirectly, yeah. I mean, you've got a full caravan, which is basically a mobile town heading with you all now. You'd find everything there, but they're already starting to pack it back up, mind you, when they see you all coming back. The mayor would be walking up towards the group, and you know what? This time he goes for Deacon because, yeah, it goes for Deacon because I like to shuffle it up a bit. Just looks your character dead in the eyes with that hard stare he has. I mean, he has to tilt his head back because the dude's all 5'2". Not that there's anything wrong with that height, don't get me wrong, but not everybody gets to be 6 foot in a fantasy setting. Some people have to do the bureaucracy. He'll just look up towards you and says, "All right, son, everything good to go? Can we get our mosey on?"
The tracks are sound, but we should be careful as there are signs that some kind of creature has hunted in the area, but we couldn't find anything to suggest that it's been around like recently, but we found disturbing evidence that something has been hunting in the area. So everyone should be on guard. Report anything that seems amiss.
And he'll give a slow nod of his head at that as he gives his jaw a rub, adjusting his beard before he gives a yell. "Garrick, my boy!" The half-orc jumping up a little bit as he looks towards the group and stares out. "You getting that there bow? You ready? Gonna be some shooting? Sounds like it's gonna go bad." And Garrick looks towards the team, looks back towards him, gives a sigh as he stands up and starts putting on a full suit of his nice hide armor as he nods. "I'm gonna have to be ready for this one. But I can get the front. You all want to take the rear and watch our ass?" Garrick and his band of 4 merry men, because, you know, there was the 4 of them that were the same, so.
Yeah. If that's how you want to do it, that's fine with us. I'm a little bit worried the danger might be at the front, but it's a guessing game at this point.
Now, it's always ultimately this team's decision, but they're giving you the opportunity to take up the rear as they'd be moving forward with their caravan. Which I'm just displaying with this one basic mini here because, well, we don't need too many beyond that size. Mind you, it's multiple carts long and it's going for quite a distance. But you'd all be taking up the rear as it starts to march forward. Unless the team has alternate plans or anything like that, we can go ahead and start.
Works for me.
So, as the rain continues to fall, and the clouds cover in even harder, and the smallest flashes of lightning begin to streak across the sky, the wagon starts its slow journey across that lovely bridge that has managed to survive all these years. And I'm not going to keep that light flashing on there. No one needs to see that. But, you know, now there's lightning and thunder. But as you make it a bit further forward, and I'm going to go ahead and move your tokens at this point, mind you. And this is all Dungeon Master. While your caravan sits precariously in the middle of this area, over that river, and you all stand... Ooh. Deacon's like, "Not me, I'm out." I'll pop your tokens about here for rear vanguard. Oh, no worries, bud. I'm just having my usual fun. I'm gonna need y'all to roll perception checks. Oh, shoot. I glitched his token on my screen. I'm gonna have to tap it. Fix that later. Alright. So we got a 17 from Deacon. A 23 from Phoenix. 18 from Devaxian.
Hold, please. I'm pausing for dramatic effect, aka answering a message.
We're gonna do a dramatic.
Oh, there's my bad. There's my bad roll.
All right.
It's bound to happen.
As you're all creeping your way forward, as the maelstrom of water continues to twist and turn below, waves crashing against those pillars as you make your way across, the ground creaking beneath the wheels. You all don't notice, with the exception of Phoenix, who notices a little too late, the water itself clinging harder every time it splashes on top of those pillars before twisting and churning. The weight of the wheels causing the bridge to rock ever so slightly, causing it to creak, and causing chaos below. The water receding backwards, once in the blue, at that last moment. As Phoenix thinks to himself, hang on, something looks a little off down there. As you peer towards the water down below, you can see that the path to the south was not the only watery hole filled with corpses. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, line the rivers underneath your feet. And they're moving, scrabbling claws, grabbing at those pillars, climbing, rushing their way up. Zombies charging their way towards the top. Now, the obvious answer here would be to run as fast as you can south. But you're level 5 heroes, and the obvious answer isn't always obvious. But you've got a couple turns before they start overtaking the bridge. Climbing, scrabbling up, like a horrifying horde, tearing their way across the pillars.
Just got the cranberries stuck in my head.
And I'm sure we've all seen your standard zombie movie. Actually, I think World War Z, I'll take a picture from it. It does it best.
Oh, they're just like the mass making like a zombie wall.
Indeed. As the river seems to be filled with their bodies. And apparently, with enough of you up top, you've drawn their attention. And they're coming on the attack. Now, we're going to take, though, a quick 5-minute break at this point, 5-10 minutes. Our usual break that we have half session that we completely missed today, because I lost track of it there. But this is a good little spot for us to take a quick 5-10 minute break, let you all decide exactly what you want to do. But you've got an undying horde coming at all of you now. And let's not forget, at the end of this pathway, wasn't that other area also filled with dead bodies? I wonder if there's any relation.
Oh no!
We didn't close that hatch, did we?
Nope, you opened it up. So, like you say, a quick 5-10 minute break, you know, the washroom run and all that sort of stuff, then we'll finish things off.
Yeah.
As, oh crap, they're zombies. Every Dungeon Master's favorite. There's a reason I mentioned why the water's 900 below and you can barely see it. You threw your rock. I'm like, you could send your rock further, or you could just examine the top of the pillars. No. Oh, imagine if you went down and saw all the undead churning in the water.
The tragedy is, if AoE spells might damage the post.
Yep. But this is a very well-built bridge. Lots of support. How much of a beating can it take with those AoE spells before it gives the way? Or how far can you run? Or, you know, a lot of those questions that there's only one way to find the answer to when they're not good.
So here's what I could bring to the table, guys. I have an axe and I have darts. I can throw things and hit things.
Well, we'll take a quick minute and be ever so happy Phoenix got break on a 20 for that one, and that you can see these things charging up. Otherwise, they'd be a lot closer. But, well, like I say, we'll take a quick 5-10 minutes, and then we'll jump back, tie things off nicely with a bow, and see where it goes. So as we jump back in, returning back from our... Quickly unpause the game. You will find your character standing on a bridge, and these 4 pillars, the ones that were covered in scratch marks from top to bottom, presently have a number of zombies crawling and climbing their way up. Now, I did give an arbitrary 900 earlier for the size, And these zombies are already 150 feet clawing their way up in a massive pile of a horde. But you did get the jump on them. You did get a great one player pass their perception check. So, the odds are in the player's hands for what you want to do right now.
The only thing I can think to do is do a esoteric lore check to see if they have any weaknesses or aversions that we can use.
That lets you target a single target, right?
Can be used to recall knowledge regarding haunts, curses, and creatures of any type.
Ooh, the wording's a little wonky. If you're curious about zombies in general, you can go ahead and give a roll for that esoteric knowledge. But keep in mind, that is one of your 3 actions to do that, right? I think anyway.
Yep.
Because it's a recall knowledge for esoteric lore.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've got anything else I could do from this range anyway, so I might be able to help out the team with some knowledge. And maybe, like, I don't know, maybe give advice to the caravan. I'll shout out to warn the caravan and pass the word down the line as well.
Now, generally, you would know, zombies generally aren't that quick. A little slower than most, but this horde rushing forward moves with a good amount of speed. They're definitely overtaking, and it looks with their climbing, they're probably gaining about 100 foot up those pillars a turn as the horde makes their way forward. You also know a few fun things about them, like vitality and void energy on a zombie, how they have negative healings. Damage of a vitality, not healed by them. Healed by void effects that heal undead as well. Usually as well, you know you'd hit them with slashing damage. But beyond that, things like disease, poison, and paralysis generally don't affect a zombie. For most of them. Their only true design is to consume the living, unthinking and ever-shambling harbingers of death. Or harbingers of death. Harboringers. My god. I'm off with my pronunciations today. They only stop when they are destroyed or move beyond the capacity of what they do. Unholy, evil, mindless monsters. They seek to eat. And you've seen small groupings of them, but never have you heard of hordes of this size rushing. If they get on top of you, it doesn't matter how strong you are. The sheer numbers they have, so overwhelming.
Okay. I will shout that out in a translated form in character. I think that we might need to get the caravan off this bridge and collapse it.
Sounds good to me.
So at the moment, from your present location with the caravan taken into account, you've got about 300 feet to freedom. Give or take.
Did we find, what did the markings indicate in the middle of the bridge? Did I miss that? Like, you said there were markings on the pillar, right? Are they just
the
like
claw marks from these zombies crawling up and down them.
Oh, that is what it was. Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought it might have been, but I think I missed it where you actually said it. Yeah, sounds good. I can get on top of one of the carts and fire into the horde in the meantime. Might have enough. range to do that?
Like shooting a slingshot at an anthill. There are lots of them. So many rushing in. But you definitely could get on top of the caravan. It's moving at a relatively leisurely pace, but they're about to kick that one up, which itself does bring some degree of difficulty.
Yeah, I say we just keep going forward and fire into the horde as much as possible to try to slow them down. Is that stupid? I don't know.
No,
I
that
don't really see any other option.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're climbing up the bridge posts. Right. Okay. So I reckon we get the caravan off. Maybe I'll shout to like put fuel at the end of the bridge, because we might have to set it on fire to slow them down when we get off the bridge. But yeah, I don't think there's much more I can do other than give out the knowledge for now. I will encourage from the back. Run!
So, if I know my knowledge right on Pathfinder, a carriager that's being brought along, speed is limited to the animals that are pulling it. It's supposed to be 2 on front. The slowest speed of the animal. Now, your standard riding horse has a speed of 40? Let me see here. Yep. Same with your war horse, regular horse, all that sort of good stuff. They're sitting on a 40. So, moving at a regular pace, I would say they can cover half of whatever their maximum distance moved is without having issues on this bridge, i.e. difficult terrain. So they'd be able to move 60 feet per turn, freely. Anything more than that, going at their full gallop and carrying these carriages along, well, this isn't the most stable terrain at the end of the day. That might come with risks. You could leave it up to them to try to control these horses, but if any of you have the ability to pilot a carriage, well...
Would that be an animal handling thing? Is there a function like that in Pathfinder? I actually don't even know.
I think it's like a lore skill.
It's a lore skill?
I'm looking it up, so I'm not sure. Most vehicles use driving lore or piloting lore.
Yep. Piloting check for the driving lore usually has a DC about 16, and you can also use nature, but the DC is higher depending on the pulling creature.
I don't have any driving or piloting. I have nature, but it's pretty low, +7. That fill me with confidence in the higher DC. I don't think any of the party has any driving lore. I think we it's probably need to leave it to the more experienced wagon drivers at this point.
Now, if you're not going to push the horses, if you're going to keep them at a steady pace, it will take you 5 turns for them to make it across this bridge. And that's moving 60 feet a turn.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are particularly good at nature. I mean, I guess I could try with a +7.
As for those zombies, given their present movement speed, I did advise was about 100 feet climbing up those poles per turn. And they were already about
Yep.
100 feet up because the team did notice them with a perception check instead of letting them climb a few hundred feet. So they have about 800 feet to go before they make it up to the top. If there's no changes, that should take them 8 turns.
So the caravan has 300 feet to clear.
Yep, and it can do it in 5 turns at a regular pace. Just
Right.
moving 60 per turn, which would be no checks, no tricks. Well, I shouldn't say that. No checks to keep control of the vehicle as you're crossing at an expedited pace, as you won't be going at an expedited pace.
But I wonder if we shouldn't go forward and clear it, like for the people who are coming, like if there are zombies on the other side of the bridge, maybe we should go forward.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've got some fighters up there. I don't know if we'd be able to get up there in the 5 rounds anyway, because I don't think. Let's see. I guess I can run 90 feet around, but then we're leaving the back of the caravan unguarded.
You probably wouldn't make it to the front because the caravan's moving forward at a 60, so if you go 90, you're still only making 30 feet forward on the caravan.
Yeah, so I was probably just going to stay at the back until we get there anyway.
The big problem we're going to have to solve is, yeah, we can clear all this bridge. How do we stop the horde? Because we're going to have to stop it after we clear the bridge.
That's what I said. If we can pass word, like get people to shout down to the caravan to start putting fuel on the end of the bridge, we can set the bridge on fire and try and take out, just burn the bridge down behind us, and that'll collapse. The top of the bridge falls, the posts will fall. And we'll need fuel because it's raining, so we'll need an accelerant. I don't know if we must have must be some oil and stuff in the caravan. Then you could set it off with a fire spell or something. That's the only way I can think of to stop the horde.
I was kind of hoping I get to jump on you with this one. Force you all into one heck of a bad fight against the horde, but at the moment, you are steps ahead of them. You do have these moments to plan. And the team seems to be leaning that the bridge could become collateral damage in your fight against the zombie horde.
Yeah.
I just can't think of it, if they're using that to climb, I can't think of another way to stop them.
Well,
They could climb the cliff walls, but
in
would
these,
they be that clever?
in these brief instances while the team's discussing, Phoenix would be overhearing some of these thoughts and ideas, and I will give you the info where your character went through structurally examining this whole area. You know those 4 pillars, all 4 of them, are required to keep this bridge upright. If even one should fail, then it would most assuredly collapse.
And that's these pillars here.
The 4 sticking in the water.
The 4 sticking in the water, right?
They are central to the design. They provide such a degree of structural integrity that collapsing one will cause the entire bridge to fail.
How much of a range do you guys have on fire spells?
500 feet for fireball.
Yeah. So if we can get the caravan to like dump oil or like throw it to the, or like dump it on the ground near the, or dump it on the bridge near those posts, we can. Yeah, even if it's just like flasks of or skins of oil, a fireball will set that off.
It'll cost you a turn, but they can definitely soak one of the pillars with their oil and with their fire. Or, sorry, not with their fire, with their oil for the fire. They definitely carry it for lamps, for other things like that. Heck, cooking oil. But they can definitely take one turn from the caravan to stop, cover one of the posts, and keep going.
I would risk it, but unless I don't, am I missing something? We don't need to go with the fire plan.
No, I mean, it sounds good to me. I was just looking at my spells, seeing what I can contribute.
Alright, I see. I think we've got 3 turns ahead of the horde, so I think we can spare the one to soak and then we'll get everyone off the bridge, and then no going back, but I don't rightly know if that was an option anyway.
Yeah.
So is the team down for this maneuver? Burn one turn to set the bridge up to burn?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Well,
There are zombies ahead as well, possibly because there were undead within that water in the room. So if we take the one turn for this, how many are coming out of that?
That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, but
Well, I mean, we do have warriors up there, but we can't be everywhere at once.
it's true.
Like, if we get there ahead, we'll still have the horde at our back. I mean, and I guess a couple of us could run ahead to help, because we don't need everyone here for the oil plan.
you've also got
But-
Derek on the front with his troops. They'll provide some degree of artillery, but they're not heroes like you all are.
Yeah. Like, so I can't contribute to the fire plan. That would need to be Phoenix or Nestry with their like ranged fire spells. So if you want Devaxin to try and run ahead and help until you get back, I can do that.
Well, I'm not gonna stand there and shoot arrows if we're just gonna burn down the bridge anyway, so it doesn't really matter where I go now if we're just going to, like, burn it, because then we don't have to do the cover fire to slow the down, because we know we have enough time to get there, so it's kind of tricky. We only really need one person like Phoenix to ignite the pillar at the back of the horde. And then everyone else can go to the front. Or we could be smart about it and have like pairs of twos, like Devaxian can stay with Phoenix, and Nestri and Deacon can go forward. That might be the best compromise. Then there's not one person by themselves on one end of the caravan.
Yeah, I kind of always prefer when one person isn't by themselves. That hasn't ended up well for us.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We can do that.
So, do you have a preference about which way you want to go? I say Phoenix stays in the back to ignite it with one of his fire spells, but I can also do Firebolt, but I'm not sure it has enough. Or Produce Flame. No, Produce Flame's only 30 feet. That's not going to help me.
And don't
But
mind me.
remember, you cast it into your bow, so you have the range of your arrow, like your whatever that is.
That is true.
But
I mean, I don't mind staying in the back, but I just feel like...
I think maybe the fireball is like the guaranteed.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Which is going up.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
If people are going ahead to fight, probably Deacon should go because he's the heavier duty fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's shielding stuff, he's a bit more tanky.
Maybe you and Deacon should go to the front, and I can hang back with Phoenix just in case there's any kind of complication, and then I've got the range behind me, like behind the caravan.
Well, right. I thought you wanted the vaccine to stay back.
I honestly, I don't. I just suggested that as an example. I don't really care.
And don't mind me, I'm just placing tokens for the present. Working on plan.
Well, just I mean, it's up to the group to put like the vaccine where they want them, because like I said, I hit things. So just wherever you want that backup, it's up to you guys. If the fighting is going to be thickest, I definitely think Deacon should go ahead if that's the plan, but the vaccine is a bit more flexible.
So what's everyone think? Want to try and run it like this? Well, I'm not hearing anybody disagreeing. I also know that when you get into a situation like this, no one wants to be the person that says, yes, that's a plan, and then it all goes to shit and you think to yourself later, this was my fault. I understand that entirely. So...
I came up with the Bernie plan, so I'll take the heat. I'll say let's do this plan.
Well, you might be giving me a roll in a second too. Oh, what's up, Dave?
Yeah, no, I was looking through weapons and stuff because I didn't realize that my spell could do so much.
Oh, goodness.
I have a spell. It's called Blazing Armory. I can create any common, simple, or martial weapon in someone's hand. It becomes a +1 striking weapon with a flat damage. So I've been looking through all the weapons, and I'm like, who could use what?
Oh, goodness.
Well, if the recall knowledge check said to use slashing weapons, and Deacon, I think his fork is a piercing weapon.
Bombs count as simple weapons.
Bombs are simple weapons. Oh my.
That's what I was looking through.
I mean, I guess, yeah, bombs are, like, the premise of them is very simple. Like, you make something that goes boom. That's simple.
Sounds
I guess
like
it's the
good.
handling.
What's the ability, Dan? I just want to look that one up for its other features.
Blazing Armory.
Nice. And let me peek at that one.
And if it's a thrown weapon, it returns to your hand automatically after an attack roll. After the attack. So yeah, if you'd like to switch up to a flaming sword or something, we could do that.
Given that these guys might be resistant to piercing, I'd be up for a sword.
Is Discord just frozen on me?
No.
Team's just planning.
Oh no, I think my user interface seems to have frozen. I think the voice is still working. Oh dear.
Alchemical bomb.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here. I'm
Alright,
looking up
cool.
the bomb, mind you, don't get me wrong.
Otherwise, I quit the client to get it moving again, so I should have dropped out of the call. I don't know if it did it.
I didn't hear the little bloop bloop of the drop off, for what it's worth.
Just gonna point this out for Alan. An actual weapon in Pathfinder is a gun sword. So you can do Final Fantasy VIII in Pathfinder.
Final Fantasy VIII, the black sheep, I feel, of the Final Fantasy family.
Still better than
I like it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's a good point. I always forget about that one.
8's good, it's just, it lacks any slapstick humor. It's so jarringly different from your standard Final Fantasy run because of that it's wicked story though, if you can get through it. And then by the end you're like, wait a second, we don't use time loops in Final Fantasy, and I'm like, Final Fantasy 1 was a time loop.
Wait, Final Fantasy 1 was a time loop?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You go to defeat Garland. Since he's defeated, he's sent to the past, and he sends the fiends to the future to make power to send to him so he can get himself power, so he can go into the past, to give power to the fiends to send him to the future that he can go into the past. It never ends. It's an eternal, endless loop that the Warriors of Light break. At the end,
Okay.
they even go so far as to say at the end that Garland may have been saved by your actions. A once powerful holy knight, freed from that horrible time loop, may very well again be just that. And also implied, not a single person in the world would remember what those 4 heroes of light in Final Fantasy did. Which truly makes them the ultimate heroes. Heroes to be heroes. But I mean, it was also a game where they said no lines, so, you know. I'm gonna have to look up that Blazing Armory spell, because the alchemical bombs, there are so many different forms, and they go from common to uncommon, and they have price and usage and all that stuff.
So, Does that make that Stranger of Paradise game a sequel to the first Final Fantasy game after the loop?
Something like that. I haven't actually played it, but apparently it ties into all that of his redemption arc or something, and everyone loved it.
Yep. I played the demo and I didn't care for the game personally. It was one of those games where like after every level you have to redo your gear. And I was like, too much micromanagement.
Oh,
No,
God.
thank you. The gameplay was alright, but it was also super confusing because I'm like, Garland is the bad guy. What is going on? Interesting. I didn't know that. That's gives that game some more context.
I really got to look at that blazing armory closely with how it's doing the alchemical bombs, because they're a classification, but it looks like it should work. But then each one of those bombs have such varying different styles. Ugh, that's a headache.
Well, it's a good thing we decided not to go with that, and we're just going to go with a basic weapon.
I'll be reading on that for a week. Oh, God. Too many crossovers, but the team is moving its way forward. You're on this bridge, and all hell's breaking loose as you're being swarmed by zombies. However, you've got bigger problems. Sure, the caravan stops, and sure, they quickly start pouring it on there as Garrick would even look straight into your eyes, and you're wondering whose? Well, those of you on the front. Your eyes. Which one of us? Yours! I love narrative. They just looks at you all and says,
I hope you know what you're doing. This is risky. And those don't look like friendly people.
as they're pouring the oil down over the pillar. But you know, horses aren't brave, are they?
No, I've seen one scared by a rabbit before.
Yep, it
Oh,
doesn't
no.
take much. And as they look down, as they see those scrabbling claws, the screaming, the yelling, the roaring of the unbreathing horde, they start to get scared. And unfortunately, we've only got two of you at the front able to calm that lead horse down before it causes a ruckus, which would send the others mad crazy. And you know how bad that could be on a flat surface where you just fall over the edge? One of you's gonna have to give for me a command an animal, which is done as a nature check against the animal's will DC.
Oh no! What's your nature, Devexian?
+7.
Oh, thank God.
I think that unfortunately might be the highest in the group anyway. Oh, alright, well, I guess here goes nothing. Horse!
Believe in the
I
dice.
command thee, horse! Horse!
Okay, that's not bad, not bad.
With an 18, you must beat the will save of a horse. As maybe you grab onto the rein and say, "Horse, I command thee! You pay attention here!" And the horse just looks you dead in the eyes for a moment. And you have that long stare with the animal, but no. You do calm it down successfully. You are victorious in relaxing the steed as they
I
take their
did
time.
have a wild card to play
Well,
as well, is that I could have spoke to it in Wild Song, which is druidic, that my character knows through a
Ooh.
backstory mishap.
Well, after pouring the oil on, taking up one of your precious turns, I'm guessing the team's gonna book their way forward to the end, right?
Yeah.
Moving
Yup.
as fast as you can carry these horses, going full speed on the throttle, so to speak. Well, as much as they're willing to. Without going too far, these horses are getting frightened still by the roaring from below. I'm gonna need another nature check, though this one can be a bit more generic. Somebody else can roll it if you want to rush yourself to the front of the caravan. After all, you saw Devaxian basically running up to horse saying, "Bad horse, don't you dare." And you're thinking, "Oh no, a gentle hand might work better." But I mean, to each their own. Anybody want to try to calm the horses down one more time?
I mean, I only have a +1 for nature.
This might just
I
be a
don't-
Devaxian skill.
I don't even know how I got proficiency in nature, I'll be honest with you.
Oh goodness.
I'm an inside boy. It must have been from like a background or something. Okay. I can do it again if he's want. If I've got the
I mean, you
highest one.
statistically, I think you have to.
I think you're the only person
Yeah.
with nature, actually, after giving a glance.
Alright, so now that it's listened to me once, I'll try and do a bit of an Aragorn calming down a horse in the Two Towers and do it in Wild song like Beast, like it was Druidic, I don't know. Animals might respond better. Alright. Please.
Even better.
Dice are on your side. As you channel your inner Lord of the Rings fan, give the horse a pet, you're just thinking, this is working. I can't believe this is working, but this is working. Alright, yes. Whatever you do, don't kick any helmets. You don't need your day to go that south that fast. But as 5 turns elapse, plus the extra 6th, as that horde draws ever so close, you all find yourselves on the far end of the bridge overlooking that cliff, which means your plan is ready to be enacted on that poor pillar that's been supporting this bridge for so many years now. Who wants to go ahead and unleash some hell?
Feel bad about the destruction of historical bridges. I'm a big bridge fan, especially rail bridges. But we have people to protect, goddammit. Bridges gotta go.
Question is, what's the distance? Because that determines who actually can do it.
Not too bad off from your present location. Back of the caravan to there, 95 feet. And you've got 2 turns of flex. 1 turn is doing this plan. So if it doesn't work, you've got 1 turn to try to fix that.
Alright, and the caravan is definitely off and like safe.
Practically where you are now, steps away from getting off of there. By the time you take your turn, they move forward another 60 feet and they'll be off this bridge, no problem. It's now a non-issue. You have my promise on that safety. A collapse of the bridge will not take out the caravan. I know I like to pull surprises here and there and have fun things and be like, oh, bet you weren't expecting a kraken. But you know, on that I'll tell you.
If a kraken appears now out of the river.
A little baby kraken.
Yeah.
No. Here at the River of the Dead, which name I had to hide because, well, spoilers.
That's ominous.
Well, I couldn't call it the Dead Marshes. I get sued.
Don't follow the lights.
Oh, goodness.
You make little lights of your own.
I will admit, if you had gone down to check the water directly, you would have triggered the horde.
Oh, just...
And that could have been a lot worse if you didn't already have the caravan moving. But as of right now,
yeah.
You've kind of lucked into the good outcome on this one, definitely. Or have you? We'll know after the team makes an attempt. Who is firing a flaming shot at that pillar, and how are you doing it? Mage hand the flaming sword over, just tap a few times.
Well, I have 1 spell that can make it that far, so...
How far is it?
95 feet.
95 feet. Let me check my bow. 60. Do I get disadvantage here? I mean...
No, I think when you fire beyond your range increment, you take a negative to the roll. It's probably a -2.
Well, we can both go for it. I mean, yours will definitely do it if you're using Fireball. But if you want me to try first because it uses less of my resources, I can try and see what happens. And then if mine doesn't work, then you can use Fireball. You want to do it that way?
The hunter's bow is a short bow, right?
Yep, with a range
yeah.
increment of 60. You take a -2 penalty for your first increment beyond. I think you go 6? Yes, 6 beyond your increments. I mean, at that point, you're getting massive negatives, so...
Yeah.
But it's -2 for you to fire your hunter's bow from here.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'll cast Produce Flame into it, so I'll
Alright.
be in my spell strike stance. All right, and I will shoot. Let me get. Let's see if I can put a -2 here. Yep. Hope I did that right.
Goodness. The rolls were odd when you're getting information, but when the team's being jumped by zombies, no low rolls, not a 1. Well, you pull
It'll
back.
be a D4 fire damage. I don't know if it matters.
You pull back on that arrow, and you let it fly, singing through the air like a whistle. With a 30, it sledgehammers into the post, and not a moment later, a pure plume of flame erupting up, not 2 moments later, which means I'll need another check for those horses, because they get spooked by the fire.
I thought that might happen. Alright. Prego, nego fanna.
The exact same roll. Well, with the setup from the rest of the team and the camaraderie of staying close, the explosion that leads off causes the bridge to begin to shake and wobble immediately. You can see zombies immediately falling into the water, some of them ignited by the massive flame you've caused, but the bridge collapses, tearing itself apart without any structural support, leaving little behind but splinters sticking out from the land. Though, true to an assumption that would have been made earlier by the team, you can see more of these creatures, now crawling along the shore, trying to summit the sheer cliff before yourselves. And by damn, they're probably going to pull it off, but they're going to be eating your dust long, long before that. The second you're off the tracks, the second the horses have the movement, the orc brings it down on the reins as Garrick says, "Yah! Yah, mule!" and goes at the best they can muster. You've managed to avoid what could have been a really rough firefight here.
I know we didn't. Oh, there was only one attack roll, but I'm buzzing.
Give yourselves a nice clap on the back for that one. When it mattered, everything went the way you needed it to. And you've managed to knock off a whole horde of zombies without actually getting into a fight. Even though I tried. I had a couple things that could trigger it. A couple things. And then you might be wondering, what about the house up front? Well, that wasn't a zombie pit. That was something nasty. But, limited on the info, of course, it comes a little harder to tell exactly what it was. I have even better news for the group of you. Zombies aren't fast, horses are. Galloping along at a steady pace and moving with all you can, fear in the hearts of those that you're protecting. It doesn't take you long to quickly outpace that scattered horde.
Oh,
Until the only thing is the rain.
I like pulling a plan out of our butts.
We did it.
I like seeing your plans come together. I've seen many plans that you all made fall flat and you've had to pull the plan B, C, and then D. But it's nice to see your plan A just work off the get-go. Now, that doesn't mean things are said and done. I still have nasty things up my sleeve. Time's a little tight today and we're way over. But one piece of info I'll give you as you charge on as fast as you can as people are terrified. It doesn't take you long to clear through that. To leave those zombies far in your dust as they don't seem to be following. Nothing left back there but soon a roaring inferno as that bridge, the attached buildings, and all things around are little more than a fire left behind. I've also got good news for you. The next 2 weeks, the remaining 2 weeks of your journey through this cold, dreary space are almost entirely uneventful. No other nasty surprises, just the railway track that you can continue to walk upon. And in the distance, as you march, you can see something that might surprise your characters. A beacon of light, quite literally in the darkness. As you draw very near Blackrock, you can see it. Lights shining from that city with a brightness far beyond what would normally be seen from these sort of towns, from these sort of places. Why, you'd almost think that the light coming from there is a little too bright, a little too powerful. It's like looking at a modern-day city's ability to illuminate itself. Large stone walls far in the distance, encircling them as they near the coastline once more. But you're not quite there yet. No. As you continue on your path to Blackrock, as you all march forward in the smog and in the darkness, your caravan would be coming to a very slow stop. Because the road ahead has people on it. A group of them, slowly walking, cloaks drawn, blocking much vision. And yes, it's been a solid 2 weeks, Dan, if you've got anything up your sleeves for construction and downtime. I give you all 2 weeks of downtime between sessions, essentially.
Yeah, it's a bunch of rolls I have to do later.
Yep.
To learn a spell, I have to roll for every spell.
Oh, God. Well, have fun with that. That sucks, but have fun with that. You've got 2 weeks of downtime, so you can definitely learn them. And this group ahead, as you're all marching on. Who wants to give me perception checks as you're drawing close? Because it's Garrick who says to the team,
They're not moving very fast, and they're not looking too kind. I can't get a good feel on them. We tried to flag them down, but we haven't had much luck.
26 from Nestry on the perception check as she takes a peek. The rest of the team as well, scouring with eyes, except Deacon. Deacon went to take a look, but they pointed and said, no, not the back, the front, but the team's already aced the goal, so you know. What stands before you as you start moving, as you slow to a crawl, as they're trying to shout to get the attention? You are not far, maybe half a mile, maybe shorter, from the great stone gates that you can see before yourselves. But even as you draw on close, you can tell with your perception checks that those standing before you are not necessarily regular humans.
More zombies.
Or zombies. One turning back its head slowly as it throws off the cloak to take a good look at those who are coming. As you see skeletons having filled the path before you, and one very large rising up from the ground, turning to give one fierce roar.
Is this a callback to when we revived Dusty from a skeleton? Or is it just a coincidence?
It is now. However, the caravan is tired, your supplies are now low, and you can see a look of determination on Garrick's eyes. The mare muttering for a moment, what are we going to do? Can we go around? Blah, blah, blah. Garrick, however, grabs the reins, gives a whip, and says, we're going to tear through them. Get your weapons ready. He only sees one way to Blackrock, and it's blocked. Which is also my way of telling you all that you may have dodged a big fight in today's session, but next week, expect to hit the ground rolling, as you've got one big fight before you make it to those blessed gates of Blackrock.
Seeing skeletons, Devaxian pulls out his hammer instead of his axe.
You know, it was wild. When I realized I had essentially prepared like the same spell twice by mistake, when we were still on the bridge, I had switched it out for Exploding Earth.
Oh, goodness.
Which does bludgeoning damage.
That's going to come in very handy. Now, I will say, what you see here isn't necessarily what you'll be fighting, except a big guy.
Yeah.
The big guy's dead middle. He's going to be surrounded by a few. I just biffed zombie tokens onto the map or skeletal tokens onto the map quickly because my images were broken. So, you know.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in our Strahd campaign that we were playing was we were in a basement, like a dirt basement, and there were a bunch of skeletons that had risen up, and my druid had exploding earth, or erupting earth, I think is what it's called in 5e, and I rolled a crit on like 4 skeletons.
Owned.
And I rolled like max damage, I think. I think it's 4d12, I think. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. It's a few d12 anyway. And I think I rolled like a 12 and like 2 11s or something. It was insane. It was ridiculous.
You know what? Pretty much just like this.
Is that Caddyshack?
Yep.
The only reason I know that is because I've never seen Caddyshack, but I just recently watched an episode of Mythbusters where they tested that.
Oh, goodness. Well, it was a good run for the team. You all kicked some butt, and you got some skeletons to fight next week, but I'm going to cut the recording here.